What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 6SD Chapter 97 Shantora, Ganfer's Decision. Isn't this too strong? Just releasing the momentum made the entire Sky Island shake. The White Sea keeps rolling. With just a wave of your hand, you can smash the enemy into powder. Even the White Sea was completely split open. Ganfer was completely stunned at this time, looking at the cute little girl with trembling eyes. I didn't expect that such a harmless little girl could have such terrifying strength. Ganfer simply didn't know what words he could use to describe his inner shock. At this time, Ganfer didn't have a word in his heart to describe how shocked he was. As the god of Sky Island, his strength is truly the number one in Sky Island. And he has lived for so many years. He has seen many people who are stronger than him. But this was the first time he had seen someone who could split the Sea of White with one sword. If someone had told him before that he could split the Bye-Bye Sea, he would never have believed it. Is this the strength of the Whitebeard pirates? Ganfer was stunned for a while, and then he calmed down the wave-like mood in his heart. I couldn't help but have a new thought in my mind. If I can become a member of the Whitebeard pirates, will Sky Island no longer have to worry about being invaded? Ganfer originally just wanted to entertain Newgate and his party, hoping that they would not cause chaos in Sky Island and harm civilians. But, after gradually seeing the strength of Newgate and his team, a bold idea came to mind. Join the Whitebeard pirates. Although the geographical location of Sky Island is inherently special, this makes it impossible for most pirate groups to reach here. But, it's not like there isn't, and no pirate group that can reach Sky Island is simple. Instead of being so scared, it would be better to join the Whitebeard pirates. And, in fact, Ganfer also has a little selfish intention, which is to become stronger. Sky Island is too small. So small that his vision has become smaller. Since becoming the god of Sky Island 10 years ago, his strength has never improved at all. Gradually, Ganfer also made a decision in his heart. Just when Ganfer was sighing at the strength of Artoria and the others. Sudden. His peripheral vision glanced at Edward Newgate, who was standing confidently aside. He didn't even blink, as if all this was natural. Ganfer was shocked. Edward Newgate is the real captain of the Whitebeard pirates. His children are so strong, so how strong will Edward Newgate be? Ganfer couldn't help but think. No, we must find a way to join the Whitebeard pirates. But now is not the time, we must serve them first. Maybe they will let me join as soon as they are happy. Ganfer secretly made up his mind, on Tsunade's side. When Marco and others saw Artoria's big hair, Kamui was also excited and shouted. Artoria's sister is so awesome. I think Sister Artoria is so handsome, Josie also said excitedly. Me too. Jinbei originally wanted to say something, but after holding it in for a long time, he didn't fart. I simply said the same thing. Leah, have you mastered the top-level Conqueror's Haki? Tsunade's perception is very sharp, although Artoria only leaked a little bit of breath when opening the 8th gate. But, it was still perceived keenly by Tsunade. Yeah, I just have some insights in the past 2 days. Artoria also nodded after hearing this. That's good, after all, only when we are strong can we protect our families. Tsunade looked at the 3 Marcos who were discussing excitedly and the little buggy in his arms, and said in a deep voice. Artoria nodded in agreement, and then walked to the back of the team and became vigilant. Although no family members were injured in this sneak attack. But, Artoria doesn't dare to gamble. If a family member was really injured, she would definitely regret it. And, in fact, this time is also a lesson for them. Even on Sky Island, which is 10,000 meters above the ground, you will encounter bounty hunters who want to take the heads of your family members. What if it's on the sea? Advertisement after this little episode. Everyone then followed Ganfer to transfer to a small boat, and the boat sailed on the cloud road of Apeado. Everyone was also admiring Apeado with great interest, the unique scenery of this island of gods heading towards the temple. Apeado is different from other Sky Islands in that it is not just composed of clouds. It also has mud islands like the islands in Qinghai Sea. They are obviously 2 islands with completely different styles and materials. But, after years and time, they merged together without any sense of disharmony. This combination of Qinghai Island and Sky Island styles, the scenery is indeed very unique and charming. It gives people an unreal feeling that they have really arrived in heaven. Everyone looked around curiously. From time to time, he would let out a sigh. Everything around them is so beautiful to them, and it's very mysterious and novel. The Fishmen Island below 10,000 meters. Now Sky Island is over 10,000 meters. This world is really amazing. Tsunade was so shocked by the sight in front of him that he was stunned. Really? When Feng Baobao heard this, he nodded in agreement and said, whether it is the Fishmen Island or Sky Island, they are not inferior to the 24 Festival Valley at all. Yes, this world is so magical. In my world, only the inherent barrier built with massive magic power can rival Sky Island. Artoria also nodded after hearing this. 24 Knots Valley? Inherent barrier? What is that? When Marco heard this, he immediately became interested. Just when Artoria and Feng Baobao were about to explain, a bright golden light suddenly reflected into everyone's eyes. The dazzling golden light made everyone unable to open their eyes for a while. Golden light. Could it be Kizaru? This dazzling golden light suddenly appeared. Newgate thought it was Kizaru coming, but it's wrong to think the other way around, because I have traveled back through time. Kizaru is still a little guy who hasn't grown up yet. It took a while. The sun was blocked by white clouds, and only then did everyone see clearly what the golden light was. Look, what is that? Marco's eyes were wide open, and he pointed with trembling fingers in the direction of the golden light. That looks like a city. Tsunade looked in the direction of Marco's finger and said with some uncertainty. City? Impossible, right? If I read it right, it's all gold? Building a city out of gold? Are you kidding me? Not even Artoria, the former king of Britain, could believe the scene before her. If there had been so much gold in Britain at that time, perhaps the outcome would have been different. You guessed it right, that is indeed a city made of gold. Ganfuer heard Artoria's guess, and immediately smiled and said, this is the land of gold, Shantora. Shandora. Is this the legendary golden city Shantora that appears in the picture book? Marco was shocked when he heard this and said, it's incredible. The legendary Shantora actually exists. When I was a kid, I saw a picture book and thought it was fake. This world is so amazing. If you use this gold to buy food, how much will you have to buy? Kai Tong looked at Shantora's gold and said with some emotion, buying food? When Al Lily heard this, the dull hair on his head stood up immediately as if it was electrified. There was also a drop of unknown liquid flowing from the corner of his mouth. If you convert this much gold into money, how long can you gamble for? When Tsunade saw Golden Country, his eyes immediately stared there, unable to look away. To know. They are on the Cloud Road now. It is still very far away from Shantora, and a large part of Shantora is blocked by clouds and plants. But, even so, there is still a lot of gold exposed to everyone's sight. Even the members of the Whitebeard pirates, seeing so much gold, couldn't help but have the idea of taking it for themselves. When Ganfuer on the side saw this scene, he suddenly felt happy. To know. He wanted to join the Whitebeard pirates, but he had never been able to find a chance to join before. Advertisement, and now that they are interested in gold. By dedicating the golden land to them, wouldn't he have a chance? Thinking of this, Ganfuer no longer hesitated and said with a smile, anyone will be extremely shocked when they see the golden land for the first time. But, in Sky Island, food and water are much more important than gold. Besides, the gold has been there for so many years and has no owner. If Lord Newgate wants it, just accept it. What? When Tsunade and others heard this, they were stunned and looked at Ganfuer in disbelief. Are you kidding? Do you really want to give us that much gold? You have to know that the value of the gold here is really an astronomical figure. Take the golden pillar at the door of Shantora as an example. I looked at the gold column that is 50 meters long and 10 meters in diameter, so the mass is 50 times 25 times 3.14 times 19,320 equals * kilogram equals 75.831 billion grams, and the value of 1 gram of gold is 8,900 belly, which is light. That golden pillar is worth 674.9 trillion belly. Then what's the value of the entire Yellow Turban Township? I can't calculate it anymore. Marco calculated the value of the Golden Land with a shocked look on his face. If they really get the Golden Land, then the Whitebeard pirates will no longer have to worry about money in the future. Ganfu smiled and nodded when he heard this. Indeed, if they wanted the gold, they would have come to get it long ago. After all, this is Sky Island, and the resources are the most precious. Again, no matter how high the value of the gold here is, if it can be exchanged for an opportunity to join the Whitebeard pirates, he feels that this is a sure profit. And, say something unpleasant, it would be fine if the Golden Land was not discovered by the Whitebeard pirates. But yes, now the location of the Golden Land has been exposed to the Whitebeard pirates and his crew. With the strength of the Whitebeard pirates, if he wants the gold, there is nothing he can do to stop it. If that's the case, it's better to take the initiative to donate these gold to the Whitebeard pirates. And, if he really joins the Whitebeard pirates, he will not lose anything at all. As the ruler of Sky Island and a god, Ganfu still has some brains. Tsunade and others were very excited when they heard this. But they didn't speak. Instead, they looked at Newgate quietly. Newgate was not blinded by gold. Instead, he said calmly, "Gu la la la. Giving so much gold to us like this is such a big gesture." Newgate looked at Shantora with a hint of greed in his eyes, but he quickly suppressed it, stared at Ganfu with a sharp gaze and asked, "What do you want from us?" Ganfu was also frightened by Newgate's piercing gaze, and was a little dazed for a moment. But he reacted immediately. He knew that this was his only chance to join the Whitebeard pirates, so he quickly knelt down on one knee in front of Newgate and made a gesture of allegiance. Sukuru said loudly, "I hope to join the Highbeard pirates." 1. "Oh. Why?" When Newgate heard this, he immediately raised his eyebrows in interest and asked, "Because I saw how powerful the Whitebeard pirates are. Sky Island is so small that my vision has become smaller. If Sky Island encounters an enemy as powerful as the Whitebeard pirates in the future, I will not be able to protect it. The people of Sky Island. So I want to become stronger at all costs and want to join the Whitebeard pirates." Golf looked at Newgate seriously. Even though Newgate's eyes were as cold as a bone scraper, he did not retreat at all. After Ganfu finished speaking, he didn't know if he could join the Whitebeard pirates. He could only lower his head and close his eyes, waiting uneasily for Newgate's answer. However, Newgate's voice did not ring for a long time, which made Ganfu feel very tortured, just when he thought he had failed. Bump. A soft sound sounded in front of him. Ganfu opened his eyes in confusion and looked at the place where the sound came from. You find a book lying quietly there, with the words, "The Complete Solution to Hockey." This appointment. Ganfu picked up the hockey comprehensive book with some doubts, and asked with some doubts, "Is this?" "Gu la la la, I agree. From now on you will be a fighting member of my Whitebeard pirates." The expression on Newgate's face suddenly turned from cloudy to sunny, and he said with a smile, "I joined the Whitebeard pirates." When Ganfu heard this, he immediately felt that it was a bit unreal. He excitedly pulled the beret soldier beside him and asked, "Am I really joining the Whitebeard pirates?" Chapter 98 Resident, Head to Burka. "Great God! You have indeed joined the Whitebeard pirates." The beret soldier looked at Ganfu's excitement and said with a smile, "Great. Great." Seeing Ganfu jumping up and down with excitement, Newgate suddenly smiled. Actually, there is a reason why Newgate chose to let Ganfu join his pirate group. Not just because Ganfu gave Shantara to the Whitebeard pirates. After all, the strength of the Whitebeard pirates lies there. Now that I have discovered the existence of Shantara, doesn't it already belong to me? You must know that they are pirates. When they see what they want, they just grab it. However, Newgate still allowed Ganfu to join the Whitebeard pirates. The reason for this is not least that Ganfu has indeed been recognized by Newgate. But the most important reason is that Newgate is attracted to Sky Island. Through the memories of his past life, Newgate felt that his family existed in the form of a pirate group. Might as well be like Charlotte Linlin from the Big Mom Pirates. Find a place with a good location as your family base. Only in this way can a family exist for a long time. If he still exists as a pirate group like in his previous life, as long as he dies, the islands previously occupied by his pirate group will definitely be easily annexed by others in the shortest possible time. Because the island occupied by pirates has no sense of belonging to the pirates at all. For them, it doesn't matter who they occupy or rule. Although this is the normal state of the pirate world, it is really not suitable for the development of the family. In his previous life, Newgate had used his own personal experience to prove that it was wrong for his family to exist as a pirate group. So, Newgate wanted to make a change in his life. Just like the Land of Flowers. The Kingdom of Flowers and the Babao Navy are related to each other, but they exist independently. Although the leaders of the Babao Navy have changed several times, they will never affect the Kingdom of Flowers. The Babao Navy belongs to the Kingdom of Flowers and obeys the orders of the Kingdom of Flowers. In turn, the Kingdom of Flowers can become the strongest backing of the Babao Navy. Newgate feels that if he wants the family to continue for a long time, he must do this. And Sky Island. This is the family residence that Newgate is interested in. Because of its unique geographical location, 550 Sky Island is at an altitude of about 10,000 meters. There are only 2 roads to reach Sky Island. One is the same as the Whitebeard pirates, riding on the rising current to reach the White Sea at an altitude of 7,000 meters. But, rising currents are very dangerous, and there are absolutely few people who can reach Sky Island through this road. The other one is to go to the top of the West Sky. Just like climbing stairs, with the help of cloud roads, you arrive at Sky Island bit by bit. Although the safety is greatly increased by taking the top of the West Sky, in terms of time, it will take the ship to travel at full speed for half a month to reach Sky Island. And, this path is also very defendable. Because the cloud road is fixed, if the Edward family really chooses Sky Island to be their base, they only need to send people to guard the entrance to the cloud road. And countless artillery can be deployed at the entrance of the cloud road. If someone wants to break in by force, he must carefully consider whether his head is stronger or Newgate's cannonball is stronger. Moreover, the area of Sky Island is not small. Even if the Edward family wants to establish a country in the future, it will be completely sufficient. However, Sky Island also has bad disadvantages. That means there are no mineral deposits. After all, most of Sky Island's islands are made up of clouds, so Sky Island is seriously lacking in various mineral deposits. But fortunately, now that Shantora exists, Newgate doesn't need to worry about money at all. Now, everything that is missing on Sky Island can be bought with money from other islands in Qinghai. Problems that can be solved with money are not problems for Newgate now. With the addition of Ganfor, it will not only speed up Newgate's control of the entire Sky Island. Ganfor's knowledge of Sky Island can also play a huge role in the development of Sky Island in Newgate. Wait until Ganfu calms down, then he continued to lead Newgate and others towards the temple. Soon everyone arrived at the temple where Ganfuor lived. However, although this temple is called a temple, in Newgate's eyes, it is no different from an ordinary house. It's just that the houses are different, and the houses are taller. Advertisement other than that, there's nothing special about it. If Newgate had to judge honestly, this temple was actually a bit crude, not even as good as the castles of kings of some small countries. Ganfor took Newgate and his party to wander around the temple for a while, and then went directly to the dining table. Newgate was promoted to the main position by Ganfor, and he sat with Marco and others, chatting while eating. Ganfor, since you have joined the Whitebeard pirates, I will tell you the truth. We want to rule Sky Island. Let Sky Island become the base of our Whitebeard pirates. Newgate took a sip of wine and said to Ganfu very directly. No problem, after all, I have joined the Whitebeard pirates, and now I am no longer suitable to be the god of Sky Island. I will announce that I will give up the position of god to Captain Newgate later. Ganfor heard Newgate's words and didn't feel anything wrong at all, and even proposed to give up the position of god to Newgate. Need not, Newgate shook his head and said, now Sky Island will continue to be managed by you. After all, you have been managing Sky Island for many years and know Sky Island better than we do. It is most appropriate to leave it to you. Yes, I will definitely manage Sky Island in an orderly manner. Ganfuer also became excited when he heard this. He did not expect that the captain could continue to hand over such an important position to him. By the way, you have to send people to mine all the gold in Shantora, and use them to go to Qinghai to exchange for various minerals and weapons and ships. The current Sky Island is really poor in terms of defense and development. Newgate suddenly seemed to remember something and said in a deep voice. "Yes, I will make arrangements," Ganfor replied respectfully. "By the way, Ganfor, how many islands are there in Sky Island?" Newgate asked Ganfor curiously. "How many islands are there?" Hearing this, Ganfu also fell into deep thought. After thinking for a while, he immediately said, "Sky Island consists of several important islands, namely Angel Island, Apeado, Visalia and Burka." Ganfor sorted out his language, and then told Newgate the news about Sky Island. It turns out that the specific situation of Sky Island is this. Angel Island. This is where Newgate and his party first landed and played. Angel Island floats on the White Sea, and the edge of the island is Angel Beach. There is a bustling street, Cute Street, on Angel Island. To reach Lovely Street from Angel Beach, you need to pass through Lovely Avenue. The second island of Sky Island is Apeado, which is the island where they are now. The Island of Gods, Apeado. Apeado is the island where the gods live and is called the Sacred Area. It is actually part of Gaia Island that was washed up on Sky Island by rising sea currents 400 years ago. Visalia. Little Sky Island. The Sky Island closest to Qinghai in Visalia is extremely small. It is the only Sky Island with free access to Qinghai. It has the most comprehensive weather science in the world and has unique weather specialties. Visalia will float in the sky around the world with the wind, and sometimes it will descend to Qinghai to replenish supplies and collect intelligence before continuing the journey. However, due to the special nature of Visalia, it is not within the control of Sky Island. Finally, Burka. It is a small sky island in the southern land, located on the edge of Sky Island. The island is not big, maybe only half the size of Angel Island. After learning the news about Sky Island, Newgate also nodded with satisfaction, BGFG. That is to say, there are only 3 islands that Sky Island can use now, namely Angel Island, God's Island Apeado, and Burka. Although there are not many islands, they are completely enough. Ganfor will take us to Burka tomorrow to have a look. After all, if we want to use this place as a base, we still need to figure out the situation on Sky Island. Newgate watched the sun slowly set. Anyway, since he had decided to make Sky Island his base, he decided not to rush and decided to have a good night's rest before heading to Burka tomorrow. Ganfu naturally has no objection. Now he has completely replaced himself as a member of the Whitebeard pirates. It was impossible to refute the captain's order. The time came at night. Because Sky Island is already at an altitude of about 10,000 meters, at night, the sky is almost cloudless. When you raise your head, you can see the vast starry sky clearly. The starry sky here is so beautiful. Jinbei looked up at the starry sky, which he had never seen before, and was deeply fascinated by this beautiful scenery. Yes, it's so beautiful to see the stars at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Marco lay next to Jinbei and sighed in the same way. This will be our home from now on. Tsunade came to the roof at some point and lay beside Marco and the others carelessly and said, "Looks good." Tsunade has always guarded the village in his previous life, so he attaches great importance to his family. I don't know if it was an appointment, except that Buggy is still young and has fallen asleep. Advertisement. The other 9 Newgate children came to the roof one after another. Everyone said nothing, just looked at the vast starry sky quietly. Enjoy this rare moment of leisure. From the beginning of the war in the Valley of the Gods, to being chased by Marines all the way, and even on Sky Island, there was a bounty hunter who wanted the head of his captain. Although everyone's strength is not weak, the long-term nervous tension also makes them a little tired. And now the vast and beautiful starry sky of Sky Island is dispelling their fatigue little by little. Lifelong. No one cares whether I can see the stars or not. It was getting late at night, and everyone returned to their rooms. A night of silence. The next day, everyone got up early. Ganfu has already been prepared. Let's go to Burka. Seeing that everyone was getting up, Newgate waved his hand, then turned and walked towards the door. Everyone immediately followed Newgate's footsteps. Everyone took the small boat and sailed along the ancient Yundao to Moby D*K, which was docked on the beach of Apeado. Because on Sky Island, ordinary compass and eternal pointer cannot be used. To determine the direction, you can only use a guidebird, and there happened to be one on the Moby D*K. It didn't take long to get back on board the Moby DK. Obviously this is not the first time I have seen it, but I still feel that this ship. So big. Ganfor looked at the huge whale-shaped Moby D*K with a look of shock in his eyes. Under the guidance of the guidebird, the Moby D*K quickly headed south. That is, thanks to the guidebird on the Moby D*K. Otherwise, it is very easy to get lost while sailing on this endless white sea. Because there is no reference at all on the Bye-Bye Sea, except for the fish that jump out from the Bye-Bye Sea from time to time, there is nothing. But, it is different from the White Sea where there is nothing. At this time, the Moby D*K was filled with joyful laughter. Ganfor was playing cards with Marco, Jinbei, and Tsunade. Since Ganfor was a newcomer, Marco also gave him the privilege to choose teammates when choosing teammates. Ganfu was not polite, and with a flick of his eyes, he chose the oldest Tsunade. When Tsunade was chosen, he immediately hugged Ganfor's shoulders with excitement and laughed. Ha ha ha, Ganful has a good vision. I am the god of gamblers of the Whitebeard pirates. Choose me. Seeing Tsunade's confident look, Ganfor confidently started the game with Marco and the others. Then, you can tell by looking at the stickers on Ganfor and Tsunade's faces that have become helmets. 2 hours, 2 whole hours. Ganfor and Tsunade have never won a single match. Tsunade, are you sure you are really the god of gamblers? Ganfu asked with some despair. Stop being so verbose, it must be your bad luck that affects me, I'm sure to win. Tsunade threw the cards in his hand into the deck with an angry look. Come again. I suddenly feel that I have a disease that prevents me from playing cards, I have to go to the toilet. Ganfor's eyes were full of distrust towards Tsunade. Suddenly he made a strange cry and wanted to sneak away. After all, Ganfuer wasn't stupid either. Tsunade didn't get a good card for 2 whole hours. It was an accident once or twice, but for 2 whole hours, it was simply outrageous. Just stop, I will definitely win today. Tsunade grabbed Ganfor's clothes. How could Tsunade let Ganfor go? After all, no one on this ship was willing to team up with him. It's not easy to have a teammate, how can I not have fun playing it all at once? At this moment, the pirates observing from the watchtower shouted loudly. There are islands. Look, there's an island. As if Ganfu had grasped a life-saving straw, he quickly rushed to the bow. The rest of the people also dropped the playing cards in their hands and quickly came to the deck of the bow. Chapter 99 Burka. A little boy without wings. Is there an island? Where is it? Ganfu came to the deck of the bow and looked towards the White Sea in the distance. Unknowingly, I have been driving on the White Sea for 2 hours. Are we finally here? Marco also followed him to the bow of the ship and asked the pirates on the watchtower. Where is the island? Right there. Hearing this, the pirate gang pointed in the direction of the left front of the Moby D*K. After hearing this, everyone immediately looked in the direction he pointed. Really, on the surface of the Bye-Bye Sea in the distance, a dark green-black spot is very obvious on the Bye-Bye Sea. And as the Moby D*K sails, the black spot is constantly changing. I see it, it seems like it is really an island. Marco rubbed his eyes vigorously and said with some uncertainty. Isn't that Sea King's? Probably not. Ganfu also saw the black spot in the distance that seemed to be an island, and thought. Sky Island doesn't have much fish. If nothing else, it should be Burka. Also, it's almost time to arrive at Burka. That's really great. Marco became excited when he heard this, and then shouted loudly to the helmsman. Turn the helm, set off towards Burka. Soon, after adjusting the bow many times, the Moby D*K sailed straight towards Burka. A few more minutes later, on the Moby D*K, it was already clear that it was an island. It really is an island, Marco said excitedly. Tsunade and others couldn't help but get excited when they saw it. You must know that they are not from the world of One Piece after all. I don't feel cold at all about this feeling of being floating on the sea all the time. Instead, I like the down-to-earth feeling of being on land. We are finally approaching Burka, and no matter what, I don't like the feeling of floating on the sea. Tsunade couldn't help but stretch and said with some complaints. Goo la la la. You've been floating at sea for so long, Tsunade, haven't you gotten used to it yet? Newgate looked at Tsunade's uncomfortable look and said jokingly, "No, Dad, it's not a matter of adaptability, it's just that I don't like the feeling of floating on the sea." Tsunade shook his head and said that it was not that he was not accustomed to sailing, but he just didn't like the feeling. Newgate also nodded in disbelief upon hearing this. After all, just like him, if he was allowed to stay on an island all the time, he would feel uncomfortable all over. While Newgate and Tsunade were chatting, the distance between Moby D*K and Burka is still getting closer. Soon, the people on the Moby D*K can even clearly see the people on the island. "Look, there's someone there," Marco said in surprise. "There seems to be quite a lot of people there." Shatong held his long knife and raised his eyebrows. "But it looks like they're just fishermen, they shouldn't be bounty hunters." Artoria immediately became wary of people who appeared suddenly. However, after careful observation, I relaxed and found that there was no danger. "Gu la la la. Don't be so nervous, Shaolia, there are so many enemies." Newgate was not worried at all and said to Artoria carelessly, "Yes." Artoria also responded to Newgate. But Artoria obviously didn't take Newgate's words to heart, and still looked around cautiously. As long as there is a little bit of trouble around, the enemy will definitely be stopped immediately. Newgate didn't say much when he saw this. After all, Artoria had done nothing wrong. "Lean over," Newgate said in a calm tone. For him, Sky Island is already in his possession, and his side is so powerful that he is not afraid of any emergencies at all. As the Moby D*K slowly approaches, at this time, the fishermen on Burka finally discovered Newgate's pirate ship. "What do you think that is?" "A whale." A fisherman pointed at the slowly approaching Moby D*K with some confusion. "No. It's a pirate ship." The other fisherman next to him also turned his head in confusion when he heard this and looked in the direction of his finger. However, the moment I saw Moby D*K, my pupils turned into pinpricks. Advertisement: the pirate flag flying on the Moby D*K, although he didn't know what kind of pirate ship it was. But that black flag with the skull on it is definitely a pirate flag. I still remember that the last time pirates visited here, many people died in Burka, and finally those damn pirates were eliminated. "Go quickly. Go and inform everyone, pirates are coming." The man was stunned for a moment, then came to his senses, and frantically directed the people around him to notify everyone on the Burka. All of a sudden, the news that pirates were visiting this place instantly spread throughout Burka Island. The residents on the island immediately panicked, and some people immediately returned home and closed the doors and windows. Some ran towards the mountains. Others came to the coast with harpoons, kitchen knives and other tools and were on full alert. Although the entire Burka Island looks a little chaotic, it is still reacting in an orderly manner. After all, Burka is far away from Apayado, and not far from the top of the western sky. So pirates would come to visit from time to time. Remember the last time pirates visited Burka a few years ago. In the end, at the cost of many people dying, the pirates were driven out. There is still a child of the pirates on the current Burka. As the residents of the island notified each other, the escort sent by Apayado soon finally arrived at the shore. The appearance of the heavily armed escort brought a great sense of security to the fishermen present. Not only are they organized and disciplined, they are strong and powerful, and they also have powerful weapons. Gradually, the Moby D*K finally docked at the shore of Burka. "They don't seem to welcome us." Artoria put her hand on the sword of victory on her waist and said warily. "Gu la la la, after all, we are pirates." Newgate didn't care about their attitude at all, but turned to Ganfor and said, "Ganfor and the others seem to be a little afraid of us, so I'll leave it to you." "Leave it to me, Captain." Burka's escort was originally affiliated with the Apayado escort. Ganfor spoke to Newgate confidently, and then jumped off the Moby Dick layer with both feet. Seeing someone jumping off the pirate ship, the escort team and fishermen immediately became vigilant, afraid that the other party will take action suddenly. However, when they saw the face of the visitor clearly, they were stunned for an instant. "God! Why are you on that pirate ship? Did they kidnap you?" The captain of the escort asked Ganfor worriedly. "Don't be nervous. I am no longer a god." In this way, Ganfu told the escort and the fishermen present all the ins and outs. "But they are pirates, Can they really be trusted? The escort team still couldn't accept the fact that Sky Island was occupied by pirates. There is no choice. They're very strong and can destroy this island if they don't want to. And being ruled by Whitebeard is not without its benefits. From now on, Sky Island will belong to the Whitebeard pirate group, and other pirate groups will not dare to attack Sky Island easily. Ganfuer also patiently enlightened them after hearing this. But the final decision still lies in their hands. After all, Ganfuer is now a member of the Whitebeard pirates. If they really want to die, he has no choice. Yes, we understand. We will surrender to the Whitebeard pirates. After thinking for a moment, the guard captain decided to surrender to the Whitebeard pirates and not resist. Indeed, as Ganfuer said, being ruled by the Whitebeard pirates is no different from being ruled by Ganfuer before. On the contrary, because of the existence of Whitebeard Edward Newgate, other pirate groups were afraid and did not dare to attack Sky Island easily. No matter how you look at it, it's all beneficial and harmless. Naturally, there is no reason to resist. After getting the answer, Ganfuer returned to the Moby D*K with satisfaction. A few minutes later, under the leadership of Newgate, the members of the Whitebeard pirates also walked down. Lord Newgate. The moment they saw Newgate, the guards and the fishermen on the coast knelt down and shouted respectfully. Gula la la la. That's great. From now on, I guarantee that under the rule of the Whitebeard pirates, no pirate group will be able to rob you. Newgate looked at their actions and laughed with satisfaction. That's great. I no longer have to live in fear anymore. A fisherman said happily after hearing this. That's great. Long live Lord Newgate. Long live. For ordinary people, they actually don't care at all who is ruling them. As long as someone can make them live a stable life, they will support Shang. So Newgate just did one thing and got their approval instantly. After everyone calmed down, Ganfuer began to take Newgate to inspect the Burka. Although Burka is half the size compared to Angel Island. Advertisement, but the vegetation here is very dense and the trees grow very strong. Please give me flowers. This can play a very big role in the future development of Sky Island. After 2 hours of wandering, Newgate had almost understood Burka's situation, so he returned to the fishing village where he first landed. Just as they were about to board the Moby D*K, a strange sound suddenly sounded in everyone's ears. Kill you. Kill you, monster. You be ******* born of pirates. Everyone followed the sound and saw a child who was about 3 years old and had no wings on his back. The earlobes of his ears reached to his shoulders. He was surrounded by several peers and was being beaten severely. That kid has no wings on his back. Tsunade looked at the child and said in sudden surprise. He is. You know, Burka is an island owned by Sky Islanders, and now there is an island without wings. The children, even Newgate, were a little curious. He is the child left behind by a pirate group that invaded Burka 3 years ago. Because the child was so young at the time, we couldn't do anything. At that time, I felt that if I didn't give him food, he would die in a few days. I didn't expect that he would survive under such circumstances. After hearing Newgate's words, the Burka guard said quickly. A pirate's child. Interesting. Newgate suddenly became interested when he looked at the little boy who was surrounded by several peers but still had fierce eyes. Don't you stop them? He will be seriously injured if this continues. Marco looked at the little boy surrounded by him and seemed to see his former self. Said with some sympathy, It's okay, I think the boy is not that simple. Newgate waved his hand and said with interest, Really? Just after Newgate finished speaking, the little boy caught one of their mistakes and broke free from the controlled hands. Without any hesitation, he punched one of the little boys in the crotch. Oh, several men, including Newgate, Ganfuer and Marco, also took a breath of cold air when they saw this scene, and covered their lower bodies without leaving any trace. After dealing with one of them, the little boy did not stop where he was, but began to shuttle between the several people who surrounded him, focusing on picking out the key points. In the end, he was the only one left standing. Huh. What on earth do you want to do after watching this for so long? Although the little boy was out of breath, he still stared at Newgate and his party who had been standing aside for a long time with undiminished momentum. But, after seeing that the Newgate people had no wings behind their backs, their expressions immediately softened a lot. After all, Burka has always been treated as a monster because he has no wings on his back. But now that he saw someone who also had no wings on his back, he felt a sense of identity in his heart. "Boy, you're great. What's your name?" Newgate said to the little boy with a smile. "Hiss. Enel." The little boy looked at Newgate and the others with no intention of taking action, and spoke while treating his wounds. "Enel. That's a nice name. What do you think? Would you like to be my son?" Newgate nodded with satisfaction and asked Enel, "Be your son? Why?" Enel immediately became alert when he heard this. After all, he has been living with Burka, who was full of malice towards him for so many years. Suddenly someone was nice to him, which made him feel a bit unreal. "Aren't you the child of a pirate? I happen to be a pirate too. How about being my son?" Newgate looked at Enel expectantly and said, "This." Enel hesitated upon hearing this, but at this time Marco suddenly came to Enel's side. Several blue flames were thrown out and fell on Enel's body. He hugged Enel familiarly and said, "Enel, just agree. We are all father's children, and we are all as lonely as you." Seeing the flames released by Marco fall on his body, Enel was still panicking at first. But he didn't feel pain. Instead, he felt that his injuries were gradually recovering, and he calmed down immediately. After listening to Marco's words, Enel also looked at the group of people next to New Jersey with some surprise. I saw them all smiling and nodding to themselves. Enel also gritted his teeth. Anyway, he was not welcome by others here, so he might as well follow the man in front of him. I agreed. Enel said loudly to Newgate. Chapter 100 Thunderfruit. Enel eats the thunderfruit. Gula la la la. It's really great that I, Edward Newgate, have another son. Finally hearing Enel say those 3 words, Newgate suddenly laughed happily. Enel. After laughing, Newgate suddenly came to Enel and called Enel's name with a serious face. Yes, yes. Enel replied nervously. Enel, who was only 3 years old at this time, was only less than 50 centimeters tall due to malnutrition, while Newgate was a full 666 centimeters tall. From Enel's perspective, Newgate seems to be a giant, full of oppression. Enel. Newgate didn't get the answer he wanted, so he shouted again. Yes. Enel is here. Hearing Newgate's thunderous voice again, Enel replied with a trembling voice. Enel, however, Newgate's voice still sounded again. But this time Enel didn't answer in a hurry, and fell into deep thought. Suddenly he seemed to remember something. He replied with an uncertain tone, Here he is, Lord Newgate. Hearing this, Newgate also showed a helpless expression and said to Enel, Didn't you already agree to be my son? And you still call me Mr. Newgate? Hearing this, Enel understood instantly and said timidly, Senior? And the moment Enel called out Daddy, suddenly Enel was held tightly in a warm embrace. So warm, Enel greedily felt this feeling that he had never felt before. Enel, from now on, you, 097, will never be alone again. After holding Enel in his arms, Newgate realized how thin Enel really was. He immediately said to Enel with distress. Enel enjoyed this rare warmth, and Newgate's voice suddenly sounded in his ears. All of a sudden, Enel felt as if time had stood still. I recall that from the time I can remember until now, I have eaten weeds, drank muddy water, eaten rotten meat left by wild beasts, and even dug through garbage dumps. Everyone in Burka was full of malice toward him, no one wanted to play with him, and he was always alone. But now Newgate's words tore off all his pretense in an instant. He is strong because he knows that if he acts cowardly, others will bully him even more. But, don't forget that he is only a 3-year-old child, and he has obviously not done anything bad. Just because his father was a pirate, Burka's people put all the malice on him. He was so young that he didn't even know why, so he kept disguising himself to make himself stronger. However, Newgate's embrace and the words, You will never be alone again. In an instant, all Enel's pretense was torn off, tears flowed down like a bursting dam. Ooh. Daddy, I'm not alone anymore, right? Enel couldn't control his tears at all, and asked with some choking. Of course. Tsunade, are you right? Upon hearing this, Newgate immediately raised his right hand and asked towards his child. Tsunade. Of course, Marco. Enel, you are our brother. Jinbei. I will stand in front of you, Sakura, brother. Joe's. Brother, Shitong. I will help you kill everyone who wants to bully you. Lifetime. Family. Artoria. We are family, Feng Baobao. I have buried all those who wanted to bully you. Buggy. Whoa whoa whoa. The Newgate children nodded in agreement. Even the little Buggy, as if he felt something, stretched out his right hand in the direction of Enel, babbling, as if he was saying something. Enel also nodded excitedly. After a long time, Enel finally calmed down. Standing quietly in front of Newgate. Let's go and get ready to go home. Enel, do you have anything else to take? We are leaving this island? Newgate said while stroking Enel's somewhat dirty hair. Yeah, it seems there is. Dad, please wait for me here. Enel seemed to remember something, and while talking, he ran towards the mountain in the center of Burka. Looking at Enel's hurried back, Newgate laughed, and then secretly said in his heart. The system opens Enel's property panel. Advertisement, name. Edward Enel, age, 3 years old. Potential. S+, power. H+ class, speed. H+ level. Energy. H+ level, body level. H+ level, combat skills, none. Ability. None. Evaluation. It has very high potential and is very compatible with Thunderfruit. You may be pleasantly surprised after using Thunderfruit. A patient with severe Chuyunibyo. With S+ potential, this guy is pretty good. Newgate looked at Enel's attribute panel and nodded with satisfaction. Although he originally adopted him as his own child, he had no hope of how high his potential would be. Simply seeing Enel as a poor orphan, but so strong. And if he continues to grow up in such a malicious environment, Enel may become an extreme person. Even when he has the strength, you will kill everyone who is stuck. That's why I wanted to take him as my own child and change his unfortunate life. But that's it, now that Enel's own talent is so good, it couldn't be better. In this way, even if they become old in the future, they will have the means to protect themselves. Apart from potential, Enel's other attributes are very average. After all, he is malnourished and is only a 3-year-old child. Newgate continued browsing Enel's properties panel. Sudden, Enel's systematic review attracted Newgate's attention. The compatibility with Thunderfruit is very high. Will you be surprised after eating it? Newgate rubbed his chin and continued to think secretly. It seems that I have to pay attention to the whereabouts of Thunderfruit in the future. Newgate rubbed his head with a headache. It's not that Thunderfruit is so precious that it gives Newgate a headache. But because Thunderfruit has not appeared in the sea for many years. With the current influence of the Whitebeard pirates, it is still very easy to find some devil fruit with good value and ability. After all, some auctions often put up some precious devil fruit for auction. But it is still very difficult to find a clear devil fruit, let alone a devil fruit like the Thunderfruit, which is extremely precious and has not appeared for decades. But Newgate didn't have a headache for too long. After all, Enel's talent was very good. Even without Thunderfruit, he can at least grow to the Admiral level. It should be no problem to protect yourself on the sea. If it doesn't work, I'll find him a phantom beast species with thunder and lightning ability, or the lower fruit of Thunderfruit. Although the effect may not be as good as Thunderfruit, it shouldn't be much worse. And just when Newgate was lost in thought, Enel had already run back from the direction of the mountain. There was also a small bag on his back, which contained a bulging thing that looked a bit like a rubber ball. Goo la la la. Little Enel, what treasure are you going to get? Newgate looked at Enel panting. It was obvious that the thing on his back was not close to here, and the fact that Enel had to pick up something so far away immediately made Newgate interested. So he asked Enel with a hint of teasing, "Can you let Daddy take a look?" Hoo-hoo. Of course, because of the run just now, Enel was a little out of breath at this time, but when he heard that Newgate wanted to see it, he took the thing out of his back without any hesitation and placed it in front of Newgate. I found this when I was looking for food in the mountains before, but because it looked so strange, I kept it in the cave where I live. Newgate was stunned when he saw what Enel took out from his back. I originally thought that Enel traveled such a long way just to get gold and silver treasures. But I didn't expect it to be such a precious thing. Newgate looked at the thing in Enel's hand with some surprise. It's a golden fruit with countless uzumaki and a skin like thunder and lightning. It's a devil fruit. This fruit can't do it. At this time, Marco behind Newgate suddenly exclaimed. What's wrong? Is there something wrong, Marco? Newgate heard Marco's exclamation and asked doubtfully. Haven't you seen the devil fruit illustrated book on Daddy's Moby D*K? Marco suddenly came to devil fruit and looked at the devil fruit in front of him with some admiration. Bump. Say what you have to say. When Marco said this, Newgate's face suddenly turned red and he punched Marco on the head. To be honest, he really hasn't read Newgate. It's okay to let him fight and take in his son, but let him read a book. It's better to save. Advertisement, it hurts. Marco was hit on the head by Newgate, and he no longer dared to tease his father, so he spoke. This is the thunder fruit, which is known as the strongest Logia devil fruit. Marco looked at the devil fruit in Enel's hand with admiration as if he had seen a treasure. Thunder fruit. XN. Tsunade and others immediately exclaimed when they heard this. Having been in the pirate world for so long, they also know how powerful and precious the naturally awakening devil fruit is. So when I heard it was thunder fruit, I was instantly shocked. Thunder fruit. Newgate was shocked when he heard Marco say that the devil fruit in Enel's hand was thunder fruit. Unexpectedly, I was still thinking just now. If I couldn't find the thunder fruit, I would just find a devil fruit for Enel. Result. Now this thunder fruit appears in Enel's hand. Newgate's eyes suddenly became rich when he looked at Enel. Sudden. He remembers his past life well, as someone said. The top devil fruit seems to be conscious and will automatically find its owner. Newgate didn't believe it before. But, seeing the thunder fruit in Enel's hand now, I couldn't help but believe it. Dad, is this a very precious thing? Enel saw the shocked look of Marco and others, and he knew in his heart that the fruit in his hand seemed extraordinary. Precious. Very precious. Newgate nodded after hearing this, saying that it was indeed the case, and said, This is thunder fruit. After eating it, you can have the ability to control thunder and lightning. If others find out, it will definitely. The meeting will be fought to a bloody head. Dad, here you go. Enel heard this without any hesitation, and directly showed the thunder fruit in his hand to Newgate's minister. Enel, what are you doing? Newgate was a little stunned. He didn't expect Enel to hand it over to him without hesitation after learning the value of thunder fruit. Since he is very precious, then treat it as a gift from me to Dad. Enel said very happily. Newgate was also very moved when he heard this. He directly put the thunder fruit in his hand back into Enel's hand. Enel, we're your family, and what is yours, we will not take it. Dad, but... Enel wanted to say something more, but Newgate interrupted him directly. Enel, this devil fruit is very suitable for you. Eat it and you will gain strength, so that you can protect yourself in old age. Enel originally wanted to say something else, but as soon as he heard that he could protect his father, he no longer hesitated. Swallowed the devil fruit in one gulp. However, before he could react, a feeling of nausea and vomiting, which was worse than eating shit, suddenly flooded into his heart. Ha 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 3.5 ha ha. Marco, Yisheng and Newgate, who had eaten devil fruit before, also burst out laughing when they saw this scene. The taste of devil fruit is still unforgettable when I think about it now. After a while, Enel finally recovered. Oh, Dad, why didn't you tell me that devil fruit tastes so bad? Enel kept retching and looked at Newgate angrily. Goo la la la, Enel, you look so funny. Newgate looked at Nero. Now you should be able to use the power of thunder and lightning. Try it. Enel nodded and began to experiment, crackling. Enel thought, and suddenly, a blue lightning was released from his hand in an instant. Bump. It landed on the ground not far away and directly blasted a big hole in the ground. As expected of thunder fruit, Newgate was shocked when he saw this scene. You must know that Enel has just eaten the thunder fruit and has not developed the thunder fruit yet, and he has such a strong power. So how powerful will it be if it is developed? Watching Enel continuously releasing thunder and lightning, Newgate also wanted to know what would happen to Enel after eating the thunder fruit. So I secretly said in my heart, the system opens Enel's property panel again. Name. Edward Enel, age. Chapter 101 What exactly is Nika, King of Angels? Name: Edward Enel. Age: 3 years old. Potential: SSS+. Power: G-Class. Speed: G-Class. Energy: G-Class. Body Class: G-Class. Combat Techniques: Thunder Fruit Discharge. Ability: Thunder Fruit. Evaluation: the person who influenced the world, Thor Nika. A patient with severe Chuyunibyo. Newgate also looked shocked when he looked at Enel's current attribute panel. Not only has the potential value been directly increased to SSS+, this means that as long as Enel grows up, he will be almost invincible in this world. And, the most important is, in Enel's comments, Nika actually appeared. Thor Nika. Nika. Newgate knew it and had heard it. In my previous adventures and conversations with Roger and other pirates, I had learned more or less about Nika. But, in historical records, Nika appears in multiple identities. Nika, the sun god who brings happiness and smiles to everyone. Nika, the liberation fighter who saved the people from dire straits. Or maybe it was the smiling boy Nika who had made an agreement with the mermaid tribe and wanted to bring the mermaid to the sea to enjoy the sun. Only Nika, the god of thunder, never appeared. And the sun god Nika in the record has abilities similar to rubber fruit. And why does the word, Nika, appear on Enel's body now? What on earth is a Nika? Newgate was completely dizzy now and couldn't understand the secret contained in it at all. My curiosity about Nika has also reached a new level, as well as the 800-year history. Perhaps Nika does not refer to a specific person, but a spirit. In other words, everyone can become a Nika. Newgate shook his head, feeling amused by his own thoughts, and said somewhat self-deprecatingly, "What am I thinking? It doesn't matter what Enel is, he is my son. This is the most important thing. Maybe the name Nika is just a prank on the system." Thinking of this, Newgate no longer struggled, 16 after all. He went to sea just to find his family, Nika and the 800 years of blank history, although it made him quite curious. But, you can never compare to your own family. Enel on the other side had no idea that the system had named him Nika. But, even if he knew, he wouldn't care. After all, whether he was Nika or not would not affect him in protecting his family. It doesn't stop him from bringing a smile to his family. Enel is constantly controlling thunder and lightning, turning into various small animals. A bird composed of thunder and lightning suddenly appeared. Suddenly he turned into an animal like a tiger. After a while it turned into a long blue and white snake. This feeling of controlling lightning at will made Enel so excited that he almost jumped up. At this time, Feng Baobao saw that Enel was able to turn thunder and lightning into snakes. Her pupils immediately shrank. As if recalling something, he walked to Enel's side involuntarily. "Your ability to control lightning reminds me of a friend. What should I call you, sister?" Seeing Feng Baobao walking over, Enel also knew that she was also his father's child, so he asked sweetly. "Baby Feng." Advertisement Feng Baobao said calmly. "Then I'll call you Sister Baoer." Enel held his chin with one hand, paused, and said directly. "Yeah. Thunder and lightning are very powerful, use it well." Feng Baobao touched Enel's head and said, "Sister Baoer, I know. Let me tell you, I can't just turn into a snake. I can also turn into something more powerful. Look if you don't believe me." As he spoke, Enel directly mobilized all the lightning in his body. Lightning sources emerged from Enel's body continuously, and finally gathered in front of him. As time passed, a 5 to 6 meter tall humanoid creature composed entirely of thunder and lightning slowly appeared. If you look closely, you can see that it looks very similar to Newgate. "Sister Baoer, look. This is my new trick, Thor." As the thunder and lightning in the body was continuously drawn out, Enel also began to tremble all over, and a large amount of sweat continued to flow from his forehead. He is also very weak when speaking. But, with more and more thunder and lightning, Enel's god of thunder is about to take shape. Sudden. Enel couldn't hold on any longer, he fell to his knees weakly. Without the lightning controlled by Enel, there is no way to maintain it. Almost at the same time, as the god of thunder lost control, countless thunder and lightning lost their restraints. It exploded immediately and quickly moved around. What happened was so sudden that Feng Baobao knelt down because he saw Enel weakly. I was distracted for a moment and was directly hit by the fleeing lightning. Sorry, I failed in my pretense. Sister Baoer, are you okay? Seeing this scene, Enel panicked instantly. He thought Feng Baobao was injured by him. After a while, the smoke disperses. Feng Baobao, who was originally groomed like a lady, has now turned into a very trendy black-faced girl with afro hair. Enel. Feng Baobao's whole body seemed to have turned black, and he looked at Enel with a terrifying aura. Ah, Dad, help me. Enel knew he was in trouble and hid directly behind Niu Weishi. Gula Lala. That's not okay. Who asked you to electrocute your sister Baoer into a black man? You should just take a beating. B. Newgate directly rejected Enel's request for help, and even grabbed him from his back and threw him in the direction of Feng Baobao. Enel. Click click click. Feng Baobao stared with a smirk on his face. Ah. Bang bang bang. As three loud sounds rang out, Enel's head felt like a lump. No, Sister Baoer. I obviously ate thunderfruit. Aren't I immune to physical attacks? Enel rubbed the big bumps on his head and said with some confusion. What do you mean? This is hockey. I will teach you when you grow up. Feng Baobao attached armament hockey to his hand and said he would teach Enel later. But when he thought of Enel's pretentious character, he grabbed Enel's head and said viciously. It's okay to pretend to be cool with others from now on. Pretend to be like me, I'll kill you. Ha. Upon hearing this, Enel's head nodded as fast as a chicken pecking at rice. But this time when Burka came to Newgate, everything she wanted to do was accomplished. She unexpectedly adopted Enel as her son and found the precious thunderfruit. Everything that needs to be done has been done, so naturally there is no need to stay here any longer. Take Enel with you. The group of people also boarded the Moby D*K and sailed towards Aldo. Advertisement. After arranging a room for Enel, Newgate also returned to his room. Gula Lala. I have taken in another son, and now I can draw a daughter. I wonder if I can draw a scientist. Otherwise, the Whitebeard pirates don't have scientists, which will be very detrimental to the development of Sky Island. Newgate thought and then opened the system. The system collects the sixth daughter. Ding! Congratulations on successfully claiming the host reward. Now we start to draw the unfortunate people in the world, and draw the Duke of Zhongqing. As the sound of the system fell, a translucent screen also appeared in front of Newgate's eyes. A blonde girl about 179 centimeters tall with white wings on her back appeared in the center of the screen. Then the screen began to change, and a narration voice also appeared. The first chapter of the Age of Three Kings, * 23,500 years ago, the Order of the Heavenly Palace was born, and the genes of male angels became increasingly powerful, making female angels almost useless in society, reduced to the happy class, and even their lifespan could not exceed 1,000 years. Female angels have always been oppressed and even sold as commodities. And she was born into a lord's family, but even so, as a female angel, she was still looked down upon by others. However, she relied on her own efforts and slowly became stronger, even defeating countless angels. But, because of this, he attracted Hua Yi's attention. On the eve of the coronation ceremony, Hua Yi led an army to raid Marrow Star and took her away. Her lord father also died in prison on a hunger strike. She also suffered Hua Yi's torture and was beaten cold by Hua Yi. Finally, with the help of He Shi, he successfully escaped and joined Liang Bing. After that, she raised troops against Hua Yi in order to save the female angels. He Zai's joining allowed the female angels to be armed, and there was a qualitative leap in tactics. After that, the rebel army and the Tiangong fought for thousands of years, and the female angels fought step by step. Hua Yi was retreating steadily, and the two sides faced off across the angry sea. About 23,000 years ago, the Battle of the Raging Sea broke out. She led the angel army to defeat the main force of the Y group in one fell swoop and overthrew the Order of the Heavenly Palace, in order to commemorate the Merlo homeland that fell in the war. After she escaped from the Celestial City, she rebuilt the angel civilization on Marrow Star, which is now Marrow Heaven. And she also became the Queen of Angels, Physical War Part 2. About 17,000 years ago, the Kamigawa civilization and the angel civilization met. The two civilizations worked together for many years. The angels also achieved higher evolution and sublimation under her leadership. Then the two civilizations began to organize physical wars and established the Kamigawa body as the main body of the biological world. She called their actions and beliefs justice and established a justice order. With the assistance of the Kamigawa civilization, she successfully spread the justice order throughout the known universe and guided most of the cosmic civilizations. Three sisters break up. 20,000 years ago, Kirin came to the angel civilization and founded the super seminary in Weiji civilization. 17,000 years ago, she began to rule the entire angel civilization. After the super theological seminary was established in the city of angels, Carl came up with a concept of ultimate fear. Her sister Liang Bing also participated in this research. From then on, the super theological seminary came into being, an academic contradiction. Liang Bing believes that her angelic civilization will eventually perish, but she doesn't think so. Instead, she believes that Liang Bing's theory is an evil theory. In the end, the two sisters broke up and started a war that lasted 10,000 years. The 10,000 Years' War between angels and demons. After Liang Bing left the city of angels, she established her own demonic civilization system. Through a long period of war, she has spread her concept of degenerate freedom widely in the universe. The angel group cannot enduring Liang Bing's actions, he launched a strangulation war against the demon group throughout the known universe. So far, a total of 4 large-scale wars have occurred. Among them, the angel group headed by her was defeated once. The angels suffered heavy losses in that battle. But the entire war process still focused on Liang Bing's failure, and countless civilizations fell in the war. The war between angels and demons is not limited to the confrontation in the universe, or the confrontation between vanguard soldiers. In many civilizations, the confrontation between justice and evil is behind the confrontation between angels and demons, and the conflict of faith. Conflicts, even the collision of nebulae, and the fierce confrontation of large space fleets, all caused the war of angels and demons to draw a bright line in the universe. The war lasted for 14,000 years. Kwang. 14,000 years ago, the first war between angels and demons broke out. 6,000 years ago, the second war between angels and demons broke out, and the angels were defeated, 4,000 years ago. The third war between angels and demons broke out, and the demons were defeated. 2,000 years ago, the fourth war between angels and demons broke out, almost destroying the solar system, and the demons were defeated. The end of the King of Finale. After 10,000 years of development, the technology of the angel civilization has reached an extremely terrifying level, and she has also upgraded her body to the 4th generation body, the sacred body, the sacred body. Every molecule in her body not only reserves powerful energy, but also records all her data. As long as one molecule exists, it can be regenerated under the transformation of the same energy. Alive. At the same time, other molecules will destroy the data. In this way, she can be resurrected anywhere. After learning that Liang Bing had come to Earth, she also came to Earth hoping to initiate a grand trial to destroy Liang Bing, but was rejected by Zhe Shaolun, the power of the galaxy. Liang Bing conspired with Carl on Earth, using space displacement technology to teleport her to the vicinity of the Emerald Star, and dispatching the power of the Emerald Star's supernova explosion through the operation of the large clock, transmitting her sacred atoms to every corner of the universe, completely destroying her body in one fell swoop. But, in fact, she could escape, but she stayed and waited quietly for death. Before she died, Carl appeared as an image. Carl asked Guy why she didn't try to escape. She had to sit still and wait for death. She said that if she could kill Reina's 3rd-generation divine body with a knife, she would be doomed. But she didn't do that. Instead, she wanted to see what Carl and Morgana could do. Destroyed by her own justice, she was eventually blown to pieces, and the sacred atoms were transported to every corner of the known universe by the Great Clock. It would take at least 300 million years for the reorganization to be completed. The picture ends here, with a blonde and extremely noble queen sitting on the throne full of majesty. And at the bottom of the screen is her name, King of Angels, Holy Geisha. Chapter 102 System. Are you kidding me? The man to take charge of Sky Island? I'll go. System. Are you serious? I'm so unlucky. I'm the King of Angels. And at the age of a few 10,000 years, she can be my grandma's grandma, right? You want her to be my daughter? Newgate was stunned at this time. he was stunned from the moment the narration began to appear. Because of the person who was about to become her daughter, Newgate was ashamed of herself. King of Angels. Lifespan, 10,000 years. Bringing righteous order to nearly the entire known universe. What is this concept? Perfectly successful people are actually defined by the system as unfortunate people. However, the system ignored Newgate and continued to speak mechanically. Ding. The extraction of Geisha was successful. Now we will use host's genes to shape her body. Please wait. As the system beeped, a shadow appeared in front of Newgate, and it gradually became solid as time went by. Finally, 5 minutes later, the figure completely materialized. Seeing this, Newgate also became a little nervous. After all, the daughters extracted by the system all had memories of previous lives. In front of an existence like Geisha, he was like a baby. I saw a woman wearing a silver-white armor with red lining and plush-like edging, a head full of golden waist-length hair, and 10 pairs of white wings growing on her back, standing in the Newgate business likely, in front of Special. Didn't I get blown up by the Emerald Star? Didn't I come back to life so quickly? The moment Geisha returned to consciousness, she looked at her hands with some confusion. Enter the dark plane. Geisha tried to enter the dark plane, but failed. I can't enter the dark plane. What's going on? And my body seems to be just an ordinary Kamigawa body now. Geisha's face was a little solemn, because after he successfully upgraded his body to the divine body of the 4th generation, he was theoretically immortal. Even if the body is blown into powder, as long as she still has one molecule left, she can absorb energy and restore her body. And after recovery, her body will also return to the 4th generation divine body. Now her body has recovered, but her body is an ordinary Kamigawa body. Connect to Geisha's treasure trove of knowledge. Connect to Geisha's arsenal. Geisha still tried without giving up. You must know that in her setting, although all of her molecules store their own data. But, when one of the molecules is resurrected as the core, all the remaining molecules will self-destruct. And now that her consciousness has been restored, doesn't it mean that her other molecules have been destroyed by themselves? But now that her body is so weak, if she is really eliminated, wouldn't she really be dead? She didn't run away from the Emerald Star because she knew she wouldn't die. But, now that this situation occurred, she became a little panicked. Newgate looked at Geisha's hurried behavior and suddenly asked in doubt, System. What's going on with her? Ding. Because the King of Angels is immortal, there is no way to extract the soul for resurrection, so the system only searches for a molecule of Geisha, and after disconnecting that molecule from the other molecules of Geisha, uses that molecule as the core is resurrected together with the host's genes. Close double angle bracket. So in theory she is just someone who has Geisha's memories. Close double angle bracket. Geisha may be worried that when she regains consciousness, other molecules will destroy themselves. Close double angle bracket. So that's it. Newgate also nodded after hearing this. After trying to no avail, Geisha no longer struggled. After all, she is the Queen of Angels with several 10,000 years of wisdom. Although I was a little panicked at first when I found out that my body had become so weak. But she calmed down immediately. After all, as long as she was given time, she had absolute confidence to return to the top again. Geisha. Newgate didn't know why, even though the system said Geisha was his daughter, he always felt that the person standing in front of him was his grandmother. You should be the dad mentioned in the message that appeared in my memory, right? Geisha looked at Newgate calmly and said elegantly. That. Geisha. Why don't you call me by my name? After all, you are older than me. Newgate scratched his head and said awkwardly, but. He regretted it as soon as he said this. After all, you can't say that a woman is old. In his previous life, after he and Ba Jin were together, they finally separated because of Newgate's unrestrained talk. I have said several times that Ba Jin is old. As a result, he was dumped by Ba Jin. Really, even the Holy Geisha, the King of Angels, could not help but darken after hearing Newgate say that she was older. Sure enough, every woman cares about her age. Advertisement. Newgate also quickly covered his mouth. But Geisha was not angry. After all, someone with a few 10,000 years of life would not be angry with a child like Newgate. Although it felt like Newgate's soul was 70 or 80 years old, he was still just a child in front of her. Forget it. Let's call you Daddy. I can feel your genes in my body, and I feel that you are very similar to my father. Geisha shook her head, a trace of nostalgia seemed to flash in her eyes. Okay. Come on, I'll take you to meet your brothers and sisters. Why? With that said, Newgate took Geisha and walked towards the deck. At this time, Marco and others happened to be exercising here. When I saw Newgate and Geisha behind Newgate, I immediately understood everything. Every time his father adopted a son, a daughter would appear out of thin air. Over time, everyone got used to it. Goo la la la. This is Edward Geisha. She will be part of our family from now on. Newgate stepped aside to let Geisha appear in everyone's sight. Haha. Hello everyone. I am Geisha. I will be your family from now on. Geisha didn't feel nervous at all, and she introduced to everyone with great grace. Tsunade. Hello. My name is Tsunade and this is Buggy. Tsunade looked at Geisha, who was elegant and exuded a powerful majesty inadvertently, and was a little stunned for a moment. After reacting, he quickly introduced himself and introduced Zhongji to Sarah. Seeing the eldest sister Tsunade speaking, Marco and others immediately introduced themselves. Marco. I'm Marco. Jinbei, Sakura, Josie, Kai Tong, Lifetime, Artoria, Feng Baobao, Enel, I am Enel. Everyone looked at this beautiful and majestic Geisha with some curiosity. In the end, Enel, who was more out of the second class, came to Geisha's side first and looked at the wings behind Geisha's back with some curiosity. Sister Geisha, are you Burka's angel? Why haven't I seen you before? Hee. When Geisha heard Enel calling her sister, her face suddenly showed a smile. He stretched out his hand to hug Enel and said gently, No, my sister is a real angel, the kind who can fly. As she spoke, the wings behind Geisha's back flapped slightly, and she flew directly into the sky with Enel. Ah! It's flying! Looking at the tiny Moby D*K below, Enel suddenly screamed with excitement. After taking Enel around for a few times, Geisha landed back on the Moby D*K. Sister Geisha, you are so awesome! When Marco and Josie saw Geisha coming back, they immediately shouted excitedly. Newgate on the side saw Geisha getting along happily with her children, and Newgate felt relieved. I finally had time to look at Geisha's attribute panel. The system opens Geisha's property panel. Newgate thought to himself. Name. Edward Enel. Age. 23,500 years old. Potential. S+ class. Power. S+ rank. Speed. S+ class. Energy. S+ level. Body level. S+ level. Combat techniques. Angel fighting methods. Ability. Divine Body of Knowledge. Part 1. Eye of Insight Flame Bombing. Evaluation. King of Angels. Holy Geisha. Because the system searched for a molecule of Geisha's sacred body and restored it, its strength has been greatly weakened. 23,500 years old. Wow. Newgate glanced with some admiration. Geisha. His age is not even a fraction of others. But I don't know if it's my luck or the system's deliberate decision. I originally wanted to bring someone with good technological capabilities, but in the end, a king of angels like Geisha came. Although there are deviations, it is undeniable that Geisha's scientific and technological capabilities are indeed very strong. From now on, at least Newgate will not have to worry about the chief scientist of the Whitebeard pirates. Even, as long as Geisha is given a little more time, the Whitebeard pirates and Sky Island will definitely become the most technologically advanced existence in the world. You must know that the technology Geisha has mastered can cross the void, open wormholes, and even strengthen his body to the level of a god. This level of technology was something Newgate had never dared to imagine before. Advertisement. I used to think that Marine was already awesome if he could create that PX robot. But, compared with the technology of angel civilization, Marine seems to be a primitive man. And Geisha not only masters powerful technology, he is also the king of angels. Newgate suddenly knew who to hand over to manage Sky Island. Originally I wanted Artoria or Tsunade to take over. But, in fact, the two of them are not suitable for each other. After all, Tsunade has only managed one village. Although Artoria was the king of Britain, she also breathed a sigh of relief to Britain, which was about to collapse. But, in fact, she was not a qualified king, and Britain eventually perished in her hands. Therefore, it is not appropriate to leave Sky Island to her. Now Geisha's appearance finally solves Newgate's urgent need. Thinking of this, Newgate no longer hesitated and shouted to Geisha. Geisha, come here, I have something to discuss with you. Uh-huh. Hearing this, Geisha also looked at Newgate in confusion, and Ma Urko and the others informed him and came to Newgate. What's wrong, Dad? Geisha stood in front of Newgate. Although there was a huge height difference between the two, Geisha did not appear to be short at all. Geisha, there's something I want to tell you. That's why you're awakening here. Newgate was also worried that Geisha would always be obsessed with this matter, so he planned to tell her everything. Uh-huh. Geisha also raised her eyebrows when she heard this. Although she doesn't care now, it would be better since she can know everything. Your appearance is the result of that being searching for a molecule of the sacred Geisha. After cutting off the connection between that molecule and the other molecules of Geisha, it took that molecule as the core and added me. The gene is resurrected, so in theory you are just a person who has the memory of Geisha, and it will not affect the resurrection of the holy Geisha. Moreover, you are completely independent now and you only need to live for yourself. Newgate said to Geisha with a serious face. Is that so? No wonder my body is so weak, and I can't even connect to the treasure house of knowledge and the arsenal of weapons. After hearing this, Geisha suddenly became enlightened. The doubts in my heart were all solved instantly. I know, Dad. From now on, Geisha and I will be two people, and I, Edward Geisha, will live for myself. After Geisha untied the knot in her heart, her whole aura became different in an instant. Although I was able to face all this calmly, there will be more or less a sense of urgency. Because he was afraid that he would be discovered by Liang Bing or Carl and be completely eliminated by them. So you have to become stronger as soon as possible, winning the king. And now, knowing that everything about her would not affect Geisha at all, she instantly felt a lot more relaxed. Newgate was also very happy to see Geisha's changes. After untying Geisha's knot, Newgate began to talk about business. Geisha, there is one more thing I want to discuss with you. What is it? Dad, just tell me, I will definitely try my best to do whatever I can. Geisha had untied her knot at this time and said easily, I want to leave Sky Island to you for development. Whether you want to build a country, develop technology, or do whatever you want, the Whitebeard pirates will support you unconditionally. But, no matter what, just remember that you are the chief scientist of the Whitebeard pirates and Daddy's daughter, that's enough. Newgate said to Geisha with a serious face, I know Daddy. When Geisha heard this, she didn't shirk and agreed directly. In fact, she was quite interested in the task assigned to her by Newgate. After all, she has the memory of the holy Geisha, so she also has a way to upgrade her body in her mind. But, all of this must be carried out with a sound scientific system. Now my dad has given Sky Island full power to develop and support himself. Under such circumstances, one can develop technology faster. And, the most important point is, she is quite interested in the people on Sky Island. They seem to have angel genes in their bodies. But they are all incomplete, as if they were someone's experimental products. At the same time, Geisha is also a little curious about the world in which she was resurrected. Because there is no way to collect dark information now, there is no way to know whether this is the universe she was originally in or another universe. All this needs her to explore slowly. Chapter 103 Rapid Development, Frightened Shiki. Time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle, and time passes like a white horse passing by. 6 months passed quickly. Geisha just does what she says. In this 6 months, the talented Geisha has learned to use armament hockey, observation hockey and conqueror's hockey. In the past 6 months, the entire Sky Island has undergone earth-shaking changes. You must know that the technology Geisha masters is truly advanced, even if it is just some of the most basic technologies of previous angelic civilizations. But, for the entire pirate world, these technologies are years ahead of the pirate world. So in the past 6 months, with the hard work of Geisha and the entire Whitebeard pirates, the entire Sky Island has undergone earth-shaking changes. First of all, in important cities such as Apayado, high-rise buildings are rising one after another, and various power facilities and other modern facilities can be seen everywhere. For the convenience of communication, the entire Sky Island area has also been installed with more than a dozen communication towers, large and small, so that communication in Sky Island does not need to rely on phone bugs, and mobile phones have also emerged. As for travel, the guys have also studied several single-person aircraft for people like Newgate and Zhou Zifeng who can't fly. However, due to material problems, this kind of aircraft cannot yet be mass-produced. As for the problem of food, thanks to the technology brought by Geisha, great progress has been made. Although it is not yet the harvest season, judging from the current situation, it is estimated that food production will increase by 30%. The entire Sky Island area has entered into rapid development under the technology of angel civilization. Due to the convenience and happiness brought by technology, the Aborigines of Sky Island no longer reject Newgate's control, and some people have even begun to support it. Newgate. The original Sky Island natives obeyed and surrendered to Newgate and the Whitebeard pirates, largely because of forced suppression. But now it's completely different. Witnessed with my own eyes the rapid development of the Whitebeard pirates in just 6 months after they took control of Sky Island. As life became better and better, the natives of Sky Island gradually began to surrender to the Whitebeard pirates from the bottom of their hearts. He also has an unusual sense of identification with the Whitebeard pirates. At this time, in the study room of the Edward Apayado family, Newgate was sitting at his desk. The system opens Ganfer's property panel. Name: Ganfu. Age: 30 years old. Potential: A+. Power: A+. Rank: Speed. Class A+. Energy: Class A+. Body grade: A+ grade. Combat skills: Night Impact Penetrating Attack Advanced Armed SIBA 073 Kai Advanced Observation Hockey. Ability: None. Evaluation: The Sky Knight full of chivalry spirit. Ganfu. Close double angle bracket. In the past 6 months, Newgate's system has been upgraded. Now he can view the attribute panels of all those loyal to him and his children. In the past 6 months, although Newgate handed over the task of developing Sky Island to Geisha, he was not idle either. In addition to daily training and the development of his devil fruit abilities, Newgate also took Ganfer under his wing for guidance. Fortunately, Ganfer also lived up to his expectations. In just 6 months, he directly raised his strength to the limit of his body. It has reached the peak of Vice Admiral level. Although it is not particularly strong, it is completely adequate as the Guardian Knight of Sky Island. Now, except for the Whitebeard pirates, all the remaining combatants on Sky Island, about 20,000 people, are under the command of Ganfer. And Ganfer is very knightly. Whether it is training soldiers or handling tasks with a sense of responsibility, he is not only recognized by Newgate, but also by Geisha. After all, strictly speaking, Ganfer now belongs to Geisha. And just when Newgate was satisfied with Ganfer's growth, Enel suddenly burst in from the door. "Dad, what are you doing? I developed another skill today." Enel came to Newgate excitedly. "Oh, what amazing skills has little Enel developed again?" Newgate hugged Enel lovingly. "It is this, crackling," Enel said, and stretched out his right hand, and then a purple lightning shot out of his body, making a roaring sound. "Uh-huh." Newgate also showed a look of surprise when he saw the purple lightning in Enel's hand. Advertisement, because if he remembers correctly, Newgate remembered that Enel's lightning should be blue and white. And now there is purple thunder and lightning in his hand. "Enel, what's the matter with this purple thunderbolt?" "Dad, this is a new skill I developed, purple lightning. It not only has all the characteristics of blue and white lightning, but also has a terrifying temperature. As the voltage I apply to it increases, its temperature becomes higher." "High," Enel said very proudly. "It's really good, BGDC, Enel. How did you come up with this idea?" Newgate knew as soon as he heard that Enel would greatly improve him after mastering Zidian. "Do shi bao ergia. Lao shi zo wo. Yi qian hai nen wo men lei dian dian ta. Shei ji dao ta humi and jing ran do yang shang shang jiao shou daola." Enel inadvertently touched his head, which was the place where Feng Bao Bao often beat him. "So I thought that rubber is not heat resistant. If the heat of my lightning is high enough, I won't be afraid of Sister Bauer." Enel held his chin in one hand and said calmly, "Aha." Newgate was speechless when he heard this. He didn't expect that such a powerful Zidian was forced out by Feng Baobao. But this also indirectly proves Enel's talent. The system opens Enel's properties panel. Newgate subconsciously checked Enel's properties. Name: Edward Enel. Age: 3 years old. Potential: SSS+. Power: G+ class. Speed: G+ class. Energy: G+ class. Body class: G+ class. Combat skills: Discharge 10 million volts. Thunderbird, Thunderbeast, Thunderwhip, Purple Lightning. Top observation: Hockey Heart Network. Ability: Thunderfruit. Evaluation: the person who influenced the world, Thor Nika. A patient with severe Chuyunibyo. When Newgate saw the changes in Enel's attributes, he couldn't help but lament the horror of Enel's talent. Needless to say about physical attributes, Enel is too small after all. The body has not developed yet, and the attributes cannot grow too much. But Enel's development of Thunderfruit is like eating and drinking. The voltage of Thunderfruit has developed from the 10,000 volts when I first ate the Thunderfruit to the current 10 million volts. This is very scary, and the same goes for the development of Zidian. It was developed just because Feng Baobao was hit by it. It's like playing. If other demon fruit powers were to see how easily he could develop his abilities, they would probably be furious. And while Enel was chatting with Newgate, a distant and huge sound sounded. This is... Newgate and Enel were startled at the same time, because the sound was none other than Sky Island's warning sound. Whenever this sound sounds, it proves that a powerful enemy is coming, and Ganfu cannot solve it. You must know that the current Sky Knight Ganfuor has the strength of the peak Vice Admiral. If he can't solve it, it proves that the person coming must be the Admiral, or at least the peak Vice Admiral. Lord Newgate. At this time, an angel soldier flew over from the sky in a single aircraft. There is an invasion. It should be pirates from Qinghai, and Lord Ganfu is confronting him now. Go ahead and lead the way. Newgate didn't waste any time. He took out Enel's single-person aircraft and arrived at Ganfor under the leadership of the angel soldiers. Captain. Ganfor saw Newgate coming and bowed respectfully. Newgate nodded, and then set his sights on the intruder. I saw that the person who came was like a golden lion, with ground-length golden hair, just like a lion's mane. In addition, his sideburns and beard were also golden, and his sideburns were also very long. Newgate's pupils shrank and he secretly muttered, "Golden Lion Shiki." The current Golden Lion Shiki is not the old, weak, sick or disabled person in the future who had his legs broken, and a ship's rudder was inserted into his head, and his brain was damaged. At this time, Golden Lion Shiki was about 30 years old. At this time, Golden Lion had already reached his peak strength. This Golden Lion was not comparable to the Shiki who was defeated by Luffy in the future. At this time, Shi's brain has not been injured, so his haki is very powerful, and he also has excellent double-sword swordsmanship. Judging from the aura he showed inadvertently, he should also have the strength of a peak admiral. Advertisement. Moreover, Shiki is the one who can force Roger to retreat. Maybe Shiki's Shiki has already broken through to the martial level. After all, he has never really fought Shiki, and Newgate doesn't know Shiki's background. If Roger hadn't encountered that huge wave during that naval battle, it's hard to say whether Roger could have defeated Shiki. Shiki. Why do you have time to come to my Sky Island? Newgate is not afraid of Shiki now, although Shiki possesses lion fruit and firmly controls the air superiority during the battle. But, not to mention Newgate himself, just his child Artoria. Artoria, who opens the 8 gate directly, is definitely enough to drink a pot of Shiki. Plus Geisha, Akahitomi, Sakura, Issei, Tsunade. It can be said that Carter is not confident now. Hey ha ha ha. Edward Newgate? The man with the highest bounty in the world turns out to be hiding here. Golden Lion Shiki smiled boldly and said, "Are there any Edward Tsunade, Ed Artoria? I thought you were dead after not showing up at sea for so long?" Shiki. Even if you die, I won't die. Tsunade burst out with fierce fighting spirit. She had been bored for too long, and finally an interesting person came to her. Ha ha ha. Tsunade laughed and said, "Shiki, let me see if your strength has retreated." Conqueror's Haki Entanglement, Strange power. As Tsunade spoke, she instantly wrapped Conqueror's haki around her right hand. The chakra in her body was instantly mobilized by her, gathering in her right hand, and her fighting spirit was directed towards Golden Lion Shiki. Feeling that Tsunade's aura had increased a lot, Golden Lion Shiki looked at Tsunade with interest. It's interesting. Lion King slash. As expected of a young Shiki, he can wield a huge sword with just one swing. Well done. Tsunade was not afraid of the stage either. The fist, which contained terrifying power, directly collided with Shiki's sword energy. Boom. After a moment, the sword energy was dispersed. Tightness is a simple test, and both parties feel that the other party is not simple. Tsunade. Newgate stopped Tsunade, who wanted to continue attacking, and said, "This is our territory after all. Shiki's ability is too troublesome. If there is a conflict here, our previous efforts will be in vain. It's all in vain." This arrogant guy. Tsunade was not stupid, and he immediately understood the key point. Don't let me meet him on the sea. Shiki. Are you here to fight or drink? Newgate really didn't want to conflict with the Golden Lion. After all, he was on his own territory. Shiki's lion fruit could easily destroy the entire Apeado in battle. Although whether it is yourself or Artoria, as long as the 8 inner gates are opened, Shiki can definitely be defeated in seconds. But opening 8 gate takes time. Shiki also knows how powerful 8 inner gates are, and it is impossible to give himself time to open 8 gates. As long as Shiki can't be killed and he has time to destroy Apeado, the gain outweighs the loss. So although I'm not afraid of Shiki, I still don't want to conflict with him. Secondly, Newgate admired Shiki very much. In his previous life, he knew that after this guy was imprisoned and impelled down, he actually had the courage to cut off his feet and become the only person in history to escape from impelled down single-handedly. Then what if I say I'm here to fight? Golden Lion saw that Newgate was apprehensive and didn't think much of the conflict. Then he put a smirk on his lips and looked at Newgate provocatively. If you are really here to cause trouble, I hope you will think carefully about it. As he spoke, Newgate asked everyone to release their aura, and at the same time, a strong Conqueror's haki spread out from Newgate. I'll give you another chance to organize your words. A cold wind blew by, and 2 drops of cold sweat flowed from Golden Lion Shiki's head. To be honest, Shiki was really panicked. He didn't care that the momentum of the people behind Newgate had not been released just now. After all, the strength gap could not be leveled by the number of people. As a result, all the opponent's momentum was now released, which really scared me. Several Admiral-level experts, and how could that kid Marco become so powerful? How to fight this? But it doesn't matter, that is, if you are stronger, if you use Lion Fruit's ability, you will still have the ability to deal with Sky Island at an altitude of 10,000 meters. But, how to fight? Beat your sister. What is going on with that flying angel? And after feeling the strength of the other party, it is obvious that he is a peak Admiral level. And if only a few people are powerful, forget it. What about the 20,000 fully armed soldiers? Golden Lion Shiki is no longer as arrogant as he was at the beginning. The other pirates in the Flying Pirates are all stupid now. At first, they were still joking and joking around. As a result, the people from Newgate went directly to the king, and the people from the Sky Pirates were immediately frightened. Chapter 104 Funny Shiki. Shiki's Ambition. Hip hop haha tilde. We've all been old friends in Newgate for so many years, so don't be so grumpy. Seeing something was wrong, Shiki immediately showed an amiable smile. We're just here for a trip, that's right. Because Newgate stole all the rock's treasure during the Valley of the Gods War. By the time Shiki and the others arrived, Rock's treasure house was already empty, so Shiki and the others didn't get any money. Although Shiki robbed a lot of property on the Island of Gods, it was still not enough for Shiki to build his own large fleet. The current Golden Lion has not yet established its own large flying ship group, and its own pirate group is only 2 or 3 kittens, big and small. If fully calculated, the current flying pirate group only has about 100 people. These people were just able to maintain the operation of his pirate group. Although with Shiki's strength and his lion fruit characteristics, it would be difficult for anyone to keep Shiki here if he wanted to escape. But, his crew may not be so lucky. Everything will definitely be explained here. And it is indeed very difficult to form a pirate group, especially chefs, doctors, and navigators. It is really not easy to meet the right ones. It took him several years to set up these things. If he really had a head-on confrontation with Newgate here, he would probably have to be quiet for many years before he could recover. This is not acceptable to Shiki. After a series of confrontations, Newgate and Golden Lion both had their own agendas. Both sides were afraid of each other, so they had no intention of fighting. The most important thing is that there is no conflict of interest between the two. The original purpose of Golden Lion coming to Sky Island was to appreciate the scenery of Sky Island. Of course, if possible, Shiki would also be very happy to be able to play in the autumn wind. At this time, Newgate also took a serious look at Shiki's pirate ship. At this time, Shiki still only had one pirate ship, a pirate ship with a huge golden lion head, and only a few hundred crew members on board. As for admiral-level powerhouses, Newgate did not sense anyone other than Shiki. Suddenly I couldn't help but feel relieved. Okay, follow me if you have the guts. Seeing that Shiki had no intention of starting a war, Newgate breathed a sigh of relief. After all, his base camp was right here. If Kaido, Charlotte Linlin and others come over, Newgate will definitely not be afraid. But, Shiki's lion fruit is a bit tricky, and his combat power may be about the same, but this guy's demolition is top-notch. With the current development of Sky Island, it is really not easy. Especially minerals such as steel were all obtained by Newgate in exchange for gold from the Golden Country. Now that you're here, I'll show you around a Payado. After saying that, Newgate motioned for Shiki to follow. Hip-hop haha tilde. Wait here. Shiki ordered and his men quickly followed Newgate. At this time, Newgate was also in the mood to show off. Although his relationship with Shiki is average, at least they both came from the same boat. My own island, after Guya's development, now seems to be a high-tech city. The level of science and technology is far beyond that of the sea. You can even see Golden Lion's curious and shocked look. No, before they even started walking, Newgate, Enel and others flew into the sky with a single aircraft, and Shiki was stunned. In the world of pirates, if ordinary people want to fly, they either rely on devil fruit or moonwalk. As a result, Newgate now directly relies on a bunch of metal gadgets to fly into the sky. The most important thing is that he is handsome. Refer to flying with a sword. Shiki's eyes lit up when he saw it. He quickly used Lion Fruit's ability to catch up with Newgate. Next to Newgate, he flashed his two big eyes and stared at Newgate with envy. There is quite a feeling that if you don't let me play, I will keep staring at you. As soon as Newgate turned to look at Shiki, Shiki looked away, pretending to be nonchalant. When Newgate stopped looking at him, Shiki stared at Newgate eagerly again. This went back and forth several times, and Newgate was also rendered speechless by Shiki. Stop. 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 Here you go. Here you go. Newgate's back felt a little hairy as Shiki stared at him. It seems that if Newgate doesn't let Shiki play with the aircraft under his feet, Shiki will definitely keep secretly staring at Newgate. No way. Newgate could only ask Enel to lend the single-person aircraft at his feet to Shiki for a try. Newgate is holding Enel. Although the thing under Newgate's feet is called a single-person aircraft, it does not mean that it can only carry one person. It is just because it is portable and small and can only stand on one person. That's why it's called a single-person aircraft. What is this? It's not fun at first glance. Shiki saw that the aircraft he had longed for was right in front of him. He was obviously very excited, but on the surface he still acted like he didn't like playing and said, "Forget it. We have been brothers for so many years. Since you let me play, I will reluctantly give it a try." Advertisement. After saying that, Shiki couldn't wait to use the solo aircraft. But, single-person aircraft are not so easy to learn, although single-person aircraft are equipped with gyroscopes. But if you don't know how to balance, it's very easy for people to fall down when standing on it. But I can't stand Shiki. Don't forget what Shiki's devil fruit is. Every time Shiki loses his balance, he uses Lion Fruit's ability to control it. Soon Shiki learned how to use it and flew the aircraft directly in the sky. "Yeah, handsome, handsome, handsome. I'm a super golden lion. Yahoo!" Looking at Shiki, it looks like a airha, flying here and there in the sky. Newgate immediately covered his eyes helplessly. After arriving in Apayado, we took Enel and Shiki to the ground and started wandering around. It's only an hour's journey, and Shiki had a lot of fun along the way. Don't look at Shiki Hockey when he appeared on the stage. He looked very serious. As long as you get along with him for more than 10 minutes, you will realize that this guy is a funny guy. And it's also a very pure kind of joke. Now that Newgate thought about it, he, Shiki, Roger, and even Garp, the three strong men from the pirate era, were more or less funny. For example, in my previous life, I always asked people if I wanted to be my son. As for Roger, he was very shameless, and he himself felt confident about it. As for Marine, the marine hero Garp is a very willful person, and he is very nervous and can fall asleep anytime and anywhere. Finally, there is Shiki in front of me. He is a very funny boy, __ smiley face. When he saw a child playing with a balance bike, he would lick his face and grab him to play with. I was as excited as a airhaw along the way. There was another thing that made Newgate dumbfounded. With the development of Sky Island's business and other things have also slowly developed. Walking on the streets of Apayado, from time to time there will be people wearing doll costumes selling balloons. Just as Newgate and Shiki were walking forward, they met a man wearing a gorilla costume. As soon as Shiki saw the gorilla, he immediately rushed forward and knelt directly in front of him. Holding the person's legs, he asked, "Mom, when did you come to Sky Island? I miss you so much." The gorilla was confused, thinking that if he just sold balloons, how could he have an extra son? He quickly explained, "I'm not your mother, I'm a man." However, Shiki just didn't believe it and kept calling him Mom. The gorilla was so frightened that he ran away. Shiki didn't believe it, so he kept chasing, and the man kept running. Shiki kept chasing and said, "You run. I'll chase. It's hard for you to fly, hee." However, what is Shiki's strength? After only a few minutes, the gorilla fell down from exhaustion. She had no choice but to take off her hood and said helplessly, "See, I'm really not your mother." Shiki knelt down on the spot and burst into tears facing the hood. "Mom, you died so miserably, your head fell off. I'm not your mother, you see clearly I'm just wearing a gorilla hood." The man was so angry that he gritted his teeth and yelled at Shiki. "Ah, I thought my mother was here." Shiki turned his head and looked at Newgate with a cute expression. In this scene, Newgate's head is really full of black lines. Shiki's character is amazing. After an hour of wandering, Newgate finally brought Shiki to the residence of the Edward family. It is worth mentioning that the Edward family's residence was an open space that was originally adjacent to the temple. It was later built after that location was selected as the residence of the Edward family. Not only Edward's family lives here, even Geisha's laboratory and training ground are all available here. Just sat down in the living room. Hip hop haha tilde. Newgate. Your place is so interesting, Golden Lion Shiki said excitedly and laughed boldly. It's okay. It's just so, nothing to be proud of. Newgate smiled and said casually. Why did you, Shiki, come to Sky Island? Please give me flowers, no reason, I just want to come up and see Sky Island. Advertisement, that's all? Newgate was a little surprised. Otherwise, Golden Lion was a little confused. Is there any good stuff in Sky Island? I thought you came here for Shantora too, Newgate said casually. Isn't that just something that exists in legends? Golden Lion looked indifferent, as if he had no interest in Shantara at all. Besides, even if it's true, it's just some gold. With my ability, I can easily gain billions of belly by attacking a country casually. That's true. Newgate nodded when he heard this, and then pretended not to care and said, but it's just some useless gold, maybe it's only worth 15 billions of Baileys. Let me tell you, it's just a little gold. Shiki looked like it was true at first, but suddenly he reacted and shouted in shock. What did you say? Trillion Baileys. That's right. Don't you care very much? Newgate said with a wicked smile. Who said I don't care? I don't care about hundreds of millions of belly. After all, I can just go to any country and play in the autumn wind. But, with trillions and trillions of Baileys, I will have to fight the autumn wind until the year of the monkey and the month of the horse. Shiki showed an expression of envy and hatred, affection. You must know that he is a lion fruit user. If he came to Sky Island earlier, the gold would be his. But Shiki was indeed a great pirate, and he calmed down again after a while. After all, these things are now in Newgate's hands. If you can't beat him again and again, what else can you do? After all, there is no need to worry about something that is already wrong. Hip ha ha ha. Newgate, if I guess correctly, Captain Rock's treasure should have been stolen by you, right? Shiki suddenly looked at Newgate with a gloomy expression. Who knows? Newgate did not answer Shiki's words, but took a sip of tea and said vaguely. Stop pretending. During the battle in the Valley of the Gods, the captain called you over. Then you withdrew from the battlefield. By the time we got to Beehive Island, the buildings were already empty. You still said it wasn't yours? Shiki showed an angry expression. To be honest, Newgate would also be angry. Everyone was fighting hard, but you, the sixth child, went back to steal the house. What? So what if I took it? Newgate stopped pretending and admitted it directly. And now I have not only the treasures of Captain Rock's, but also the gold of the Golden Land. How about giving it a try? Newgate looked at Shiki with a half smile. Shiki was silent when he heard this. Really? So what if it was known that Newgate had taken those things? If Newgate hadn't been afraid of destroying Sky Island, he would have absolutely no chance of winning if a battle really broke out. You know, Newgate is the man with the highest bounty in the world. Although bounty cannot represent strength, but Newgate's strength is definitely worthy of this bounty. Back in Rock's Pirate, if anyone was strong enough to compete with Rock's, there were definitely only 3 people. Coincidentally, these 3 people are Tsunade, Artoria, and Newgate. These 3 people are all members of the Whitebeard Pirates. Especially now that 6 months have passed, it is hard to say whether the strength of these 3 people has improved. Hip ha ha ha. Newgate, you are a terrible fellow. Shiki also shook his head helplessly. Fortunately, your ambition is not to rule the world, otherwise I would be really desperate if I were your enemy. Shiki seemed to have thought of something and said with a sigh of relief. Well, who knows about ambition? But, as long as my family is alive and healthy, that's enough. Newgate nodded in agreement upon hearing this, then changed the subject, looked at Shiki with interest and continued. But Shiki, you seem to be very ambitious. What do you want to do? Hip ha ha ha. It seems it's time for another person to rule this world. Chapter 105 Ambitious Shiki. Want someone to rule the sea? Shiki has to say your idea is crazy? Although Newgate had known Shiki's thoughts for a long time, he still felt crazy when he heard it again. Hip ha ha ha. Are you crazy? This is what I, the flying pirate Golden Lion Shiki, want to do. Shiki also burst out laughing when he heard this, then changed the topic, looked at Newgate thoughtfully and said, It's you, Whitebeard. It seems you have a different idea. In the past, you seemed to just want to be on the sea. Find your family. And now, not only have you occupied Sky Island, but you also have such advanced technology. What do you want to do? Well, do you believe me when I say I just want to live well? Newgate said somewhat casually. After all, he had been born in 2 lives, and he wanted to make changes after knowing that the ideas in his previous life were not working. In fact, Newgate occupied Sky Island at first just to better enable the Edward family to survive. But, ever since I saw Geisha, his technology can make people live forever, and even travel in the vast sea of stars. Newgate's vision and goals gradually change. The small sea could no longer accommodate his curiosity. His goal is the stars and the sea. Although his thoughts and ambitions are not what Shiki thought, Shiki made up his own mind, so let's leave it like that, there is no harm in it anyway. Hip ha ha. Newgate. Shiki looked like I knew very well, and smiled. These things here are all technological products, right? Aircraft. All kinds of equipment, and the one used for communication is called a mobile phone. Thing. It seems that the technology here is more advanced than that of Marine and even the world's 800 government. I don't believe you haven't developed amazing weapons and equipment. Newgate did not answer Shiki's words after hearing this. Indeed, Shiki was right. Although Geisha was developing Sky Island, his main task now is to develop infrastructure. But, in these 6 months, Geisha not only created automated rifles, but even laser cannons. Automated rifles can greatly increase the strength of Sky Island soldiers, especially those who have learned armament hockey. With the advent of automated rifles, its strength has been greatly enhanced. As for the laser cannon, although it is indeed very powerful, but this thing is too bulky and takes a long time to charge. For now, it can only be used to defend a payado. There is no way to use it on a pirate ship, because the laser cannon requires too much power. But there is a compromise method, which is to use Enel as a power bank. After all, Enel is a user with Thunder Fruit ability, which is more than enough to charge the laser cannon. But this is indeed a bit superfluous. After all, laser cannons can do the same damage that Enel can do. And Ani can control thunder and lightning. From some perspectives, his role is greater than that of a laser cannon. But Newgate didn't want to tell Shiki this. After all, Shiki was not one of his own. Forget it, Newgate. Now that Sky Island has such a strong power, do you want to make a fuss with me? Seeing that Newgate didn't want to say anything, Shiki waved his hand and continued. Oh. Newgate looked at Shiki with some confusion and thought, what is it? Overthrow the world government and take control of the entire world. As Shiki spoke, an astonishing aura erupted all over his body, all of which showed his astonishing ambition. Newgate looked at Shiki in front of him in surprise. Shiki had just broken away from the Rocks pirate, and the Sky Pirates had just begun to take shape. Unexpectedly, Shiki now has the idea of ruling the world. No wonder Shiki in the future will recruit so many pirates to form a large flying fleet. What an admirable ambition, Shiki. Although Newgate knew that Shiki would definitely fail in the end, he still admired it and said casually, but have you considered the consequences? Consequences? Shiki looked at Newgate strangely. Shiki. Did you know? World government is definitely not as simple as you think. Newgate looked at Shiki carefully and continued. A heritage of about 760 years. In other words, the world government has plundered the resources of this world for 760 years. Do you know what this concept is? How much money do you think the world government can have in so many years? How many devil fruits, and how many powerful people do you think it has? And do you think the world government has no hidden power besides the 3 departments of Marine, Impel Down, and CP? I want to tell you that the apparent strength of the current world government is just the tip of the iceberg of the 760 years of world government. But, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but it has the strength of at least 6 admirals and countless vice-admirals. Advertisement, and Shiki. Do you know the 5 elders? Newgate looked at Shiki solemnly and said, have you heard what happened? Shiki was a little confused when he heard this. In his memory, the 5 elders were the brains of the world government, and they directed the actions of the world government. Last time Rox and First went to Marine to make a big fuss, one of the 5 elders came. Do you know what his strength is? Could it be? Having said this, Jian vaguely understood what Newgate wanted to say. That's right. That guy's strength is terrifying. At least he has the strength to reach the king level for the first time. King level. Hearing this, Shiki also fell into silence, although his current strength has firmly entered the martial level. Relying on the ability of Lion Fruit and the peak level of martial, it is not impossible to fight. But if he really met a guy like Captain Rox, Shiki would be really unsure. After Newgate finished speaking, he looked at Shiki seriously, paused 10 times and continued. What now, Golden Lion Shiki? Do you still want to overthrow the world government? Golden Lion Shiki also continued to remain silent. He was not a fool. He just didn't think about it before, and he didn't deliberately collect information about the world government. Now when I hear what Newgate said, I naturally understand. Since Newgate said, the 5 elders who appeared have Rox level combat power. What about the other 5 elders? Who can guarantee that they are not as strong as that guy Rox? Let's put it this way. Newgate did not wait for Shiki's answer, but continued. As far as I know so far, in addition to Marine, the world government also has Impel Down, CP series armies. 5 elders, and the Knights of God. Knights of God? When Shiki heard this term, he was surprised. He didn't expect that in addition to the 5 elders, the world government actually had a Knights of God. That's right. The Knights of God, as far as I know, they're the ace force of the world government. I don't know exactly what kind of strength they have, but they are definitely not weak. Newgate said with a serious face, whether in his previous life or in this life, Newgate has no record of fighting against the Knights of God. So naturally I don't know their strength. So Shiki, do you still have ambitions? Do you still think you can realize your ambitious plan? Newgate looked at Shiki, who was lost in thought. He didn't know if it would hit Shiki, but that was the thing. If Shiki gave up his ambition because of this, maybe he would be right. After all, he originally died on this road, and was stopped both times by men from East Blue. Newgate was also disappointed. Hip hop haha tilde. It's so exciting. Shiki didn't remain silent for too long, and then he laughed boldly and said, "World government? What a huge thing. 760 years of heritage. It seems that you have to be fully prepared. It's a pity that Newgate you don't want to cooperate with me, otherwise it would be much simpler." Shiki pretended to be nonchalant and said. Newgate pretended not to hear it at all. "But that's what's interesting. I'm a pirate. I'm Golden Lion Shiki. My ambition won't be dampened just because of this, ha 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 ha." Shiki's hair is constantly dancing, and coupled with his heroic laughter, he is really an ambitious madman. Let's not mention the matter of dragging down the world government. Wait until you are absolutely sure before taking action. If you are not sure, forget it. Don't die in vain. Newgate dismissed the matter of world government nonchalantly. He stood aside and then continued, "Although the Whitebeard pirates will not help you, we may have opportunities to cooperate in the future." Hip hop haha tilde. What a surprise. Let's have a party. Shiki suddenly said. "Although there is no way to overthrow the world government for the time being, you also said that there might be opportunities for cooperation in the future. Let's have a party because of our friendship. Have a party. Have a party." Enel almost fell asleep when he heard Newgate and Shiki talking about world government. When he heard that there was a party, his eyes lit up. "But what is the party?" Enel was excited for a while, then suddenly turned his head and asked curiously. "You don't know what a banquet is?" Shiki showed a shocked smile when he heard this. To know. In the world of pirates, banquets are absolutely indispensable. Just like the flying pirates, they basically hold a banquet every few days. So now I was shocked when I heard that Enel didn't know what a banquet was. Gula lala. Advertisement. Isn't it true that not long after they occupied Sky Island, they have been busy developing Sky Island? Newgate also scratched his head in embarrassment upon hearing this. Thinking about it carefully, it was indeed a long time since we had a banquet. Thinking of this, Newgate shouted to the door. "Someone is coming. What happened to Lord Newgate?" An angel guard also walked in and said respectfully, "Go and inform Geisha and Tsunade Marco. We're having a party today." Newgate said calmly, "Yes." Upon hearing this, the guard walked out immediately. "I'm telling you, having a banquet is fun, and those young ladies dancing at the banquet, oh, it feels like." As soon as Shiki heard that Enel did not have a party, he started to tell him some interesting things, but as he talked, he gradually became a little less serious. "Shiki, don't make me beat you up." Seeing that Enel was about to be taught something bad, Newgate quickly interrupted Shiki and stopped him from continuing. Hip hop haha tilde. Golden Lion Shiki also laughed when he heard this. Hee. Seeing Shiki like this, Newgate could only helplessly shake his head. When this guy is not serious at this time, he is really an unformed airha. Then Newgate asked Ganfor to arrange patrols, and the rest of the people attended the banquet together. I have to say that people in the pirate world are very strange. No matter what happens, they like to hold banquets. If one party doesn't work, then there will be two parties. Not to mention Newgate, he is a person who likes to hold banquets very much. If he hadn't been too busy during this period, he would never have time to hold banquets. A few months have passed, and Sky Island is on the right track. Now it is finally possible to hold banquets. It is really rare for a family to be happy together. Have a party. Drink, angel girl. Let's have a drink together. Haha. You, a big man, can't even compete with a woman in an arm wrestling match. Okay. No, go to the children's table, Sister Baower. Don't hit me, I was wrong. The banquet was carried out in the midst of laughter and laughter. Drinking, playing and joking could be seen everywhere. There was even a pirate who drank too much and wanted to have an arm wrestling match with an Ashu. The result can be imagined. This is Tsunade, Tsunade with strange power. Tsunade's power is notoriously terrifying to the entire Whitebeard pirates. Then he completely shut up. Tsunade's hand was placed straight on the table. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't shake Tsunade. It's as if it's not an arm, but steel welded to the table. And Geisha's words. Newgate initially thought that she, the King of Angels, would not be able to adapt to such a banquet. After all, pirates are all rough, and they can't be compared to the noble and elegant King of Angels. The result was something Newgate didn't expect. Since she was very adaptable, she even took the initiative to have a drink with others. Newgate was also a little relieved to see this scene. It seems that Geisha's heart knot has been completely resolved, and she will live for herself in the future. The little guys like Marco Enel also had a great time at the banquet. Especially Enel. He got a little carried away and showed off his thunder fruit ability crazily. Then, accidentally, lightning struck Feng Baobao's head again. Finally, he was beaten by Feng Baobao and finally stopped. And Shiki, this funny guy, got sick again after drinking too much. He pulled a few pirates and started dancing. Not to mention the dancing was really fun. In the next few days, Shiki and others had a good time visiting Sky Island. Finally, I left Sky Island with a lot of satisfaction. Chapter 106 Golden Bell. Roger is missed. A few days later. After Newgate handed over everything about Sky Island to Geisha, he still had something to do when he was teaching Ganfer. But, as Ganfer's strength has been raised to the limit, Newgate is completely left with nothing to do. I want to continue developing Devil Fruit, but I don't have a good idea. In addition to daily exercise, the bored Newgate can only wander around in boredom. Dad. And when Newgate was wandering around boredly, Marco, Enel and the other little kids suddenly came to Newgate and said enthusiastically, "Dad, we want to go on an adventure. Can you please take care of little Buggy?" As he spoke, Marco thrust the buggy in his hand into Newgate's arms. Newgate didn't shirk. He took it over and teased the little buggy while asking doubtfully, "Adventure? Isn't Sky Island almost done?" That vine. The huge vine in the Golden Land. Marco was also excited when he heard this and said, "That vine is so big that it stretches all the way into the sky. We want to climb up and have a look." The giant vines in the Golden Land. As soon as Marco said that, Newgate instantly recalled that when he used observation hockey to sense in the Golden Land, he had already discovered something on the top of the huge vine. "It's just that I've been busy and haven't gone to see it." Gula Lala. "Want to explore that big vine? I'm also interested, I'll go with you." Newgate was already bored, but when he heard Marco say this, he immediately wanted to go on an adventure. "But Dad, what about little Buggy?" Marco was a little hesitant. He originally came to see his father to ask him to take care of little Buggy, but now his father actually wanted to go to the vines. "Otherwise, let's go find Tsunade. Let Tsunade take care of little Buggy?" Newgate also has some headaches. It is really not convenient to take a little kid with you on an adventure. This might not work," Marco said 16 helplessly after hearing this. Why? Newgate is also a little strange, because Tsunade has always been very concerned about his younger brother, and for such a long time, Tsunade has actually been taking care of little Buggy. "I know. Because Sister Tsunade went to the casino. She was the one who gave the little Buggy to us just now." Enel raised his right hand and said excitedly, Newgate was stunned when he heard this. This was indeed something Tsunade could do. "Then we have no choice but to take little Buggy with us. Marco can fly anyway, so you can take little Buggy with you when the time comes. Since no one can take the little Buggy, we can only take the little Buggy with us." He walked towards the huge vine. And this time, Tsunade was walking out of the casino frustrated. "The damn boss won't let me get credit. I'll see if I don't bankrupt you next time." Looking at the casino behind him, Tsunade said fiercely. The casino owner also scratched his head helplessly at this time. After all, Tsunade is a member of the Whitebeard pirates. If Whitebeard hadn't ordered all casinos not to give Tsunade credit, they wouldn't have dared to mess with her. But fortunately, this god tier has finally been sent away. The casino owner also breathed a sigh of relief. But it's strange to say that Tsunade-sama is so unlucky that he hasn't even won a single game after sitting down for so long. She clearly ordered the dealer to let go, but she still kept losing. The casino owner looked at Tsunade's back a little strangely, shook his head, and turned back to the casino. Tsunade was walking angrily on the road when he happened to see Newgate and his party walking towards them. "Where are you going, Dad?" Tsunade said. "Hello. Tsunade, didn't you go to the casino? Why are you here?" Newgate inquired. The casino was too boring, so I didn't go there." Tsunade said, a little guilty. It turned out that Sister Tsunade had lost all her money and was kicked out. Marco couldn't help but secretly complained. "Marco, if you don't speak, no one will think you are mute." Tsunade's strength made it easy to hear Marco's complaints. Suddenly, he angrily rubbed Marco's pineapple head with his own hands. "Ah, it hurts, sister, I was wrong." Marco also quickly begged for mercy. "Gula lala." Newgate burst out laughing when he saw Tsunade and Marco's relationship being so good, and then said, "We are going to explore the giant vines, will you go?" "Adventure? If it's interesting, I'll go too." Tsunade became interested in an instant, but he was secretly thinking, "Ha ha ha, maybe there is treasure up there. Just hide some treasure secretly. I don't believe that I can't win that casino until it goes bankrupt." "Yeah, let's go then." After saying that, Newgate and his party walked towards the vines again. 10 minutes later, there were more than a dozen people standing under the huge vines. Yes. Advertisement: more than a dozen people. In the beginning, there were only 5 people in Newgate and the others, including Little Buggy. However, it seemed like a greedy snake along the way. Except for Tsunade, whom I picked up at the beginning, I met Chitomi, Artoria, and Feng Baobao one after another in the rest of my life. Even Geisha, who often spends time in the laboratory, met on the road. It seemed like an appointment had been made. "What do you think is going to be on this?" Marco said excitedly. "I guess it's treasure," Tsunade said with eyes shining. "Food." Artoria seemed to have thought of something delicious, and her saliva flowed down unconsciously. "Maybe some special shells." Feng Baobao pinched her chin and said that during this period she was very interested in the special shells on Sky Island, so she thought they were shells. "Goo la la la. Let's go up and take a look and we'll find out." In fact, Newgate had already made a guess in his mind. During my conversation with Roger in my previous life, I learned that there really was a golden clock on Sky Island. And now the entire Sky Island area falls into Newgate's hands. The other areas of Sky Island have been explored by Newgate's people. I have never heard of the Golden Bell, except for the top of this huge vine. Then the golden clock is probably there. Because Geisha is an angel, the wings on her back can carry her to fly. So the task of taking care of the little buggy fell on her. Originally I wanted Marco to take the lead, but when Marco's phoenix fruit transforms into wings, his hands will turn into wings. So it's not very convenient, and because the group of people were out for fun, they didn't bring any aircraft with them. I saw everyone using their feet to jump directly onto the vines. Start climbing up quickly. Geisha and Marco flew up directly ahead of Newgate and the others. Everyone kept moving upwards. High speed. Soon, at the top of the vines, an island cloud appeared in front of everyone. "Dad, look, there is something up there. It's an island cloud." Island clouds are clouds that act as landmasses in Sky Island. "Gula lala. What's going to be up there? I'm getting really excited." Newgate also saw the island clouds above the vines. He said excitedly. Not long after, everyone finally climbed onto the island cloud. At first, the island cloud was shrouded in a layer of fog, making it difficult to see clearly. Sudden. A breeze blew by, and the fog that shrouded the island clouds was dispersed. A bright golden light also emitted instantly. At the end of the island cloud, there was a huge golden bell, and there were scattered gold fragments around it. The golden bell seemed to have received some huge impact before finally falling on the island cloud. Golden clock. It's worth the money just by looking at it. As soon as Tsunade saw the huge golden clock, his eyes suddenly turned into money. Goo la la la. The golden bell is indeed here. Newgate smiled and took the lead to walk towards the golden clock. When everyone came to the huge golden clock, just discovered. It turns out that this huge golden clock is actually made of pure gold. Although I have seen the yellow turbans everywhere in the Golden Country before. But Seeing this scene now still surprises everyone. The golden clock is very spectacular. The whole body looks majestic and majestic. The whole body exudes golden light. It looks golden and bright under the sunlight. At this time, Geisha and Marco, who flew up in advance, were also in front of the gold. Much to Tsunade's excitement. Wow! What a big golden clock! If it were Bailey, how long could I bet on it? Tsunade's whole body was pressed against the golden clock, stroking it lovingly. Advertisement Newgate also put his hand on the golden clock, touched the surface of the golden clock, and felt a faint coolness. And a sense of sedimentation from history. Who placed this golden clock here? What role does it serve? He has placed his hand on the golden clock all his life. Although he cannot see it, he can feel the vicissitudes of life coming from the golden clock. This should be the song of the legendary island of Gaia, right? Marco has some knowledge about Gaia Island because he read picture books when he was a child. Yeah, that's right. Newgate nodded when he heard this, and suddenly shouted to Tsunade in the corner. Tsunade put down that golden brick. It turned out that just when Newgate and the others were sighing, Nashu secretly pried out a huge gold brick from the base of the golden clock. If he hadn't been discovered by Newgate, Tsunade would have already carried the brick to change money. Oh fine. Tsunade curled his lips and had no choice but to put the piece of gold back into its place. But then she saw the gold fragments scattered on the ground, so she asked, "Dad, the golden clock won't let me move, so the fragments on the ground should be fine, right?" "Yeah, okay." Newgate nodded when he heard this. With Newgate's agreement, Tsunade excitedly went to pick up the gold fragments on the ground. Don't think that the gold fragments are worthless. They all fell from the base of the gold clock or other gold buildings. Newgate estimated that a small gold fragment weighed about a pound. "Come and see what this is." Suddenly Enel's voice came from behind the golden clock. Upon hearing this, Newgate and others immediately came to the back of the golden bell. Turn out to be. Their position just now was behind the golden clock. And now we are in front of the golden bell, just discovered. In the middle of the base of the golden clock, in the middle of the two stairs, there is a huge stone. At this time, Enel was standing in front of the stone. Historical text. Newgate was also surprised when he saw this stone. He did not expect that historical texts would appear here. What is the historical text? Geisha was also a little curious after hearing this. This records the lost 100 years of history of these 780 worlds. If we find all the stones, we can know the history of that blank 100 years. Newgate patiently explained to Geisha. So that's it. Geisha nodded when she heard this, but she didn't care about the so-called history. Instead, she stroked the huge stone with interest and said, "I don't know what kind of material it is made of, but its hardness is so high. Dad, can I take some samples and go back to study them?" Geisha is still very interested in this material. Because this kind of stone has a very long history at first glance. But, not only has it not been weathered, nor has it been damaged, it is still as good as new. In Geisha's opinion, this kind of material goes against scientific common sense. Take it back and study it. Newgate also fell into thinking after hearing this. A good idea came to Newgate's mind. Newgate not only wanted to bring back the sample, but also the entire golden clock. Because he remembered that before Roger became the Pirate King, he borrowed Kazuki Odin from him just to interpret the historical text. Then if you take this piece of history on Sky Island back to study, you can hide it on the way. So, wait until Roger comes up in the future to find the historical text. Hey. Newgate couldn't help but chuckle when he thought of this. It's time to ask Roger to beg me, otherwise I won't show him. Gu la la la. Newgate thought to himself, as if he had seen Roger begging for him. Just do it if you think of it, Newgate immediately said to Geisha. If you want to study it, then send someone to bring back the golden clock and the historical text. Otherwise, how can you study it with just a few samples? Good. Geisha also nodded when she heard this. After all, she was naturally very happy to have enough experimental materials. Hachu. At this time, while sailing in the New World, Roger suddenly sneezed several times for some reason. Captain, you can't do it either. You don't have a cold, do you? Ha ha ha. A pirate gangster taunted Roger. How is that possible? My body is so strong, maybe someone missed me. And back to Sky Island. After everyone took a photo together under the Golden Bell, they were taken back to Golden Township. And Geisha immediately arranged for someone to give the Golden Bell and the historical text to the game's laboratory to start research. Chapter 107 Enel's Jinbei, Angry Newgate, the next day. Newgate had just gotten up and opened the window in the room. The early morning sunlight filtered in softly. Newgate still likes this leisurely and quiet life very much. Fight it. Fight it. Just as Newgate was enjoying the clear sunshine, a sudden burst of noise came from the training ground. Newgate was a little confused and turned his head to look in the direction of the training ground. Because the training ground is located right next to the Edward family house. And Newgate's room happens to be close to the training ground. So when Newgate turned his head at this time, the scene in the training ground completely entered Newgate's sight. I saw Enel and Jinbei standing in the center of the training ground facing each other, as if they were about to take action at any time. How did these two guys get together? Newgate looked at the two of them with doubts in his heart, and then secretly said in his heart. The system opens the property panels of the two people. Name. Edward Enel, age. 3 years old, potential, SSS+. Power. G+ class, speed. G+ class, energy. G+ class. Body class. G+ class, combat skills. Discharge 10 million volts Thunderbird Thunderbeast Thunderwhip Purple Lightning Top Observation Hockey Heart Network. Ability. Thunderfruit, evaluation. The person who influenced the world, Thor Nika. A patient with severe Chuyunibyo. Name. Edward Jinbei, age. 8 years old, potential, S+. Power. Class B, speed. Class B, energy, Class B. Body grade. B. Combat skills. Intermediate armament hockey intermediate observation hockey fishman karate 500 stages water strangulation water arrow surfing water blade vortex blade storm burst. Ability. Water control, evaluation. A silly fat-headed fish with good potential. If you look at it from the attribute panel, Enel will definitely defeat Jinbei. After all, Jinbei already has rear admiral level strength at this time, while Enel only has the physical fitness of an ordinary person. But, Jinbei's main strength can only be shown where there is water. Especially in places with seawater, Jinbei even has the confidence to compete with Vice Admiral. But, Sky Island is not as watery and free as Qinghai. Therefore, Jinbei's strength cannot be fully utilized. And looking at Enel, although his physical fitness is average, he is not weak at all when it comes to the development and application of Thunderfruit. Whether it's the skills developed by Enel or Zidian, they all have terrifying power. And a little bit. That is, Enel's speed, with the Thunderfruit, is infinitely close to the speed of light. If it weren't for Enel's incompetence in switching between elemental and physical, Jinbei wouldn't be qualified to fight. If Enel were not too small and severely lacking in physical strength, the average Vice Admiral would probably be unable to do anything to Enel. Both of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. To be honest, Newgate doesn't know who will win and who will lose. While Newgate was thinking, the battle between the two of them started instantly. Enel, don't cry if you lose later. Jinbei's voice sounded a little silly, but it made everyone afraid to relax. I'm going to electrocute you into a grilled fish. You're just a fish man. Enel didn't show any weakness and said with a look of disdain. Jinbei also had a look of anger on his face when he heard this. Newgate's face immediately darkened when he heard this. He already knew why Enel and Jinbei were fighting. But it also gave Newgate a wake-up call. After all, there will be more and more children in the future, and there is no guarantee that every child will be an ordinary human being. Just like Jinbei and Geisha are not ordinary humans. But Geisha is different. He is almost indistinguishable from ordinary humans, and the wings on his back can be retracted at any time. But, Jinbei is different. He is a fishman. The appearance itself is very different from ordinary people. Moreover, the Murlocs have been oppressed on the sea for too long, especially in the Grand Line and New World. Discrimination against Murlocs is not uncommon, although Enel may have just had a quarrel with Jinbei. Enel thought it was just an ordinary exchange of insults. But, advertisement for Jinbei, the damage to him may be a bit big. We must make it clear to them that we are not allowed to use the race of our family members in the future, otherwise it will be very troublesome in the future. Newgate thought to himself. Water arrow. While Newgate was thinking, the battle between Enel and Jinbei also began. Tadami Jinbei controlled the water in the pool in the center of the training ground to turn into several water arrows and quickly hit Enel and shot away. Crack. Just when Jinbei thought he was going to hit Enel, he saw that the water arrows went directly through Enel's body, leaving several big holes. And the holes in Enel's body were constantly flashing with lightning. Elementalized. Jinbei looked at Enel, who turned into lightning, and thought to himself, in this case, we can only fight in close combat. After saying that, Jinbei exerted force on his feet and quickly shot towards Enel. And his right hand was already wrapped with a layer of armament haki. Yaman Karate 100 Dan wa Shoken, armament haki, no, don't get hit by him. Although Enel showed quite disdain towards Jinbei. But, he knows how powerful Jinbei is. Knowing that my physical quality is completely inferior to him, I can only use my fruit ability to distance myself and look for opportunities. Jinbei's body quickly approached Enel and was about to hit Enel. Crackling. Suddenly, only the roar of lightning was heard. Enel turned into a bolt of lightning and disappeared instantly. When the lightning condensed again, Enel had appeared behind Jinbei. Bump. Jinbei lost his target and punched the ground directly, making a deep pit in the ground. 10 million volt Thunderbirds. Enel didn't give Jinbei a chance to react, and directly released a large amount of thunder and lightning, which condensed into a huge Thunderbird in front of him. Trademark groan. The Thunderbird groaned softly, then quickly attacked Jinbei. The Thunderbird was very fast and was behind Jinbei in the blink of an eye. Careful. The people around him immediately exclaimed when they saw this scene. Bump. However, Jinbei is not that easy to defeat. Although there is less water here which affects Jinbei's battle. But, Jinbei has been crawling and fighting in Fishman Street since he was a child, and he has a strong sense of fighting. See you. Jinbei turned around, wrapped around armament haki's right leg and collided hard with the Thunderbird. Boom. With a violent collision, the Thunderbird was completely scattered. The shock wave from the explosion scattered the surrounding clouds. In an instant, the entire training ground was enveloped in smoke. Jinbei's view is also blocked. Jinbei subconsciously turned on observation haki. Sudden. The alarm bells rang in his heart, because at this moment, a bolt of lightning was released from Enel's hand and came to him. Pursuit and fight. Enel has a very strong sense of fighting. Newgate couldn't help but nodded at Enel's performance. Back to Jinbei. After noticing the lightning in front of him, Jinbei also controlled a large group of water to form a water shield in front of him. And a shocking scene occurred. Enel's lightning hit the water surface without causing any waves. It was as if his lightning had been absorbed. What happened? Enel also looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. That small water shield actually prevented his lightning from getting even an inch. How is that little water shield possible? This is no small water shield. Jinbei said with a serious face. Look carefully. Newgate, who was watching from the sidelines, was a little confused when he saw this scene, but after carefully observing the water shield formed by Jinbei, he also discovered the clues. Did you take advantage of water's ability to conduct electricity? This kid? It turns out that when Jinbei formed a water shield, the water shield was still connected to the ground. So, after Enel's lightning hit the water shield, most of the lightning was directed underground. Damn it, since you took advantage of the electrical conductivity of water, you could easily resolve my 10 million volt discharge. Enel was a little impressed when he saw this scene. He didn't expect that Jinbei could think of a way to neutralize his attack in such a short period of time. However, he still refused to admit defeat and said, in this case, I will drain your water. It's all evaporated, let's see how you conduct electricity. Purple lightning. As Enel roared, the blue and white thunder in his hand instantly transformed into purple lightning. And Jinbei's water shield was instantly evaporated without a trace. You have no solution now, right? Thousands of thunder. Enel roared angrily, and suddenly countless thunder and lightning formed around Jinbei, almost blocking all Jinbei's retreat roads. When did Enel develop this skill? I haven't seen it on his attribute panel before. Could it be that it was developed temporarily to deal with Jinbei? Seeing the moves Enel used, Newgate was also surprised, so he immediately opened Enel's attribute panel. Name: Edward Enel. Age: 3 years old. Advertisement. Potential: SSS plus, Power, G plus class, Speed, G plus class. Energy: G plus class, Body class, G plus class. Combat skills: discharge 10 million volts of Thunderbirds, Thunderbeasts, Thunderwhips, Purple Lightning and 10,000 Thunders. Top observation Hockey Heart Network. Ability: Thunder Fruit. Evaluation: the person who influenced the world, Thor Nika. A patient with severe Chuyunibyo. Really, at this time, there is also a Wan Lei skill in his attribute panel. Although Wan Lei's power is not as powerful as Thunderbird and other skills. But, unable to withstand its wide range, it blocked all Jinbei's retreat roads. No way. Jinbei could only cover his whole body with armament hockey as much as possible. Boom. Boom. Without any accident, Wan Lei completely hit Jinbei. Ha ha ha. Now you have nowhere to run, right? After the smoke and dust dissipated, Jinbei. There are already several wounds on his body. Ha ha. If there is no water, there is nothing you can do now, right? Enel looked at Jinbei proudly. Ha ha ha. But Enel was stunned mid-laughing. Because he didn't see panic on Jinbei's face. Enel, do you know where the clouds come from? Jinbei suddenly asked Enel. Ha ha ha, isn't that simple? Of course, water condenses in the air after it evaporates. After hearing Jinbei's question, Enel immediately laughed and answered Jinbei. However, halfway through the words, he realized something was wrong. He quickly looked at Jinbei nervously. Really, as Jinbei thought, the surrounding clouds instantly condensed into huge water balls. No, I can't let you condense the water polo, Purple Lightning. Enel also secretly said something bad when he saw this scene. Then he wanted to release purple electricity to deal with Jinbei. However, it's too late after all. Unexpectedly, Jinbei had already controlled a ball of water and arrived at Enel's feet. The ball of water immediately wrapped around Enel's ankle. Enel, who was about to release the purple electricity, immediately collapsed. What's going on? Why is this happening? Enel looked at Jinbei weakly, not understanding why just a ball of water made him weak. Because demon fruit power cannot come into contact with seawater. And the clouds on Sky Island are all evaporated from the seawater in Qinghai, along with the special substances in the seawater that make the demon fruit power lose its power. Seeing that the two had already decided the winner, Newgate also appeared in the center of the training ground as soon as possible. Dad. Jinbei saw Newgate's appearance and also dispersed the water ball on Enel's feet. Enel, do you know you are wrong? Newgate nodded to Jinbei, then looked at Enel and said, Dad, give me another chance and I won't lose to Jinbei. After the water ball on his feet dispersed, Enel also regained his strength and said to Newgate unconvinced. That's not what I'm talking about, Enel, I'm talking about what you said about the Jinbei race. When Newgate saw Enel still like this, he immediately said angrily. But, seeing that Newgate was angry, Enel felt a little aggrieved. No buts. Don't forget that Jinbei is our family and your brother. Newgate usually behaves like a loving father, but this is the first time he has become so angry. Seeing Newgate getting angry, Enel was also a little scared and said aggrievedly. I see, Dad. At this time, Jinbei on the side suddenly said, Dad, don't blame Enel. If I hadn't been too sensitive, the two of us wouldn't have quarreled. Jinbei you. Enel looked at Jinbei in disbelief when he heard this. He didn't expect Jinbei to excuse him. Suddenly, I felt endless guilt in my heart. So Enel cast a grateful look at Jinbei and then admitted his mistake. Dad. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have made an issue of brother Jinbei's race, or even discriminated against him. I promise this will never happen again in the future. Goo la la la. It's okay to know that you are wrong. But, I still want to tell you, no matter what happens, you must remember that you must never take action against your own family. Newgate looked at his children and said loudly that he really didn't want to see his children take action against each other again. It's Dad. Marco and the others responded respectfully when they heard this.